Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon as the two continue to trade attacks in the meantime. Hezbollah launching rockets into northern Israel since the day after the deadly Hamas attacks that sparked a war in Gaza. Israel ramping up airstrikes on Hezbollah in Lebanon in recent months.
This deal would include a 60-day pause in fighting. It would guarantee that Israeli forces would withdraw from Lebanon and that Hezbollah fighters would retreat further away from the border. And it would also mean that the Lebanese army would create a buffer zone, essentially separating Israel and Hezbollah even further.
Fox's Alex Hogan in Tel Aviv, a U.S. official just telling reporters talks are moving in the right direction. A federal prosecutor in New York City just announcing he'll resign next month. Damian Williams, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, leaving some high-profile cases ongoing, including charges against the New York City mayor and rap star Sean P. Diddy Combs. The Trump nominee for that office is former Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Jay Clayton. Presidential pardons for 2 turkeys. It's a White House tradition.
For the final time in office, President Biden exercised his pardon power for 2 Minnesota turkeys. Peach.
He lives by the motto, keep calm and gobble on.
And Blossom.
Lives by the motto, no foul play. Just Minnesota nice.
The president also reflected on his final Thanksgiving as commander-in-chief.
Let me say to you, it's been the honor of my life. I'm forever grateful.
President Biden and the First Lady traveled to New York this evening for a Friendsgiving dinner with members of the U.S. Coast Guard.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The pardoned turkeys are heading back to their home state to be ambassadors at an agricultural center. America is listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The chill in the air continues thanks to a cold front. Our temperatures going down to about 44 by sunset, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Slow clearing tonight, a cold 27. Tuesday, sunny and cold 43. Wednesday, the clouds are back. Some showers developing Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday night is wet with periods of rain, even some wet snow mixing in 35. Thanksgiving Day is cloudy but dry. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brand new flooring is one of the most amazing ways to reinvent your home. Maybe it's your place of business, residential, or commercial. Michael's Flooring Outlet has you covered, you might say. In St. Charles, you can find them in St. Charles County at 116 Main Street. In Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70. In West County, you can find them on Olive Boulevard, just 1 mile off 270 West on Olive. They also have a location for you in Darting Prairie. If you go to igotfloored.com, you'll find more information on the location nearest you. But I want to encourage you, especially this type of season where the wind is picking up outside, it's getting a little more chilly. You want to come in, you want it to be cozy and comfortable. This is when carpet in a home, for me personally, I just love it. It makes it so much more cozy. And the Smart Strand Mohawk Silk with the silky softness and the superior performance that you're looking to invest in, you can find that at Michael's Flooring Outlet, along with the best people in the business. And great, great value. Visit one of their 3 locations or online at igotfloored.com.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, You can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. We'll teach you the strategy that has helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 38 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. No. These are not the dulcet tones of Annie Fry. Brad Young in with you today, and we're going to have a blast for the next 3 hours. In fact, I told Brad Range that I've got about 6 hours of material here. So I don't know that we're going to get through it, but whatever we get through, it's going to be a blast.
I mean, let's push through it. Let's get all 6 hours in.
Well, or if you're listening to the podcast, listen to it on twice the speed.
Right, and you get double the information.
And we'll get all the information in that you have.
Perfect. Ryan, you are a genius.
That's how that works. I don't make the rules. That's how it works.
It does. That's how it works. So we got lots of stuff to cover today, but the most important thing, really, even in the whole show, is to hear from you. So if you go to the YouTube channel, just go to YouTube, put in Annie Fry Show Live, and you can comment and literally be a part of the show. I've got the comments right here in front of me. I'm going to be reading through them as the show unfolds today. And if you want to be a part of the show, that's how you do it. See, this is unlike any other type of media. I love Brian Kilmeade, but you don't get to communicate with Brian Kilmeade as the show unfolds. But you get to do that here. That is the beauty of local radio. So we're going to be diving into topics, listening to you, hearing from you. We've got some interviews today, but of course, the best part of the show is Ryan Wiggins. Ryan, good to see you again.
Oh, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and
Ryan's marking his show sheet right now. He's like, all right, promo.
Let's hope that check clears, right?
That'd be fine.
So I got to tell you, today I don't usually eat lunch whenever I'm coming in to do the show, just because I don't have time. I've got to do my real job of running my law firm here in town. But I ate something on the way in, and I just want to mention this was fantastic. It was venison jerky. Ryan, have you ever had venison jerky?
I love it.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
And one in particular, I've never had this before, but somebody gave it to me over the weekend. Wild Bone Company. Has you ever had that, Ryan?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah?
Not as good.
Why is it not as good?
I didn't know that this is happening. So it's actually made for, I think we call them canines in the law enforcement world.
What?
In the biz.
Yeah, in the industry. This is so Wild Bone Company is dog food. Is this something that you had heard us talk about?
No, I just thought, I know you like venison jerky, and I thought you'd be a fan of this stuff from Wild Bone Company. And apparently you are.
So have you had it?
Well,
You said you ate it on the way in.
I
right?
ate some jerky, but I heard that the Wild Bone Company is even better.
Well, since
than
you
what
haven't
I had.
heard anything ahead of time, let me recommend you go get some and
That's
definitely
so mean.
eat it. Definitely, and call in and let us know.
Let's know how it is.
How it
because
is.
you've had it.
I did.
And I heard you said, though, it was for the dogs, right? You just say it's dog treats?
Oh, so you have heard
No,
us
I just
talking
heard
about
you
this.
say
just
it like
said it.
72 seconds ago.
I don't remember saying it. But yes, it is technically for dogs.
So you were eating dog treats. Is that what you're telling me?
No. This is dog food. These weren't treats.
But how much of a difference is there between eating dog food and eating dog treats?
Well, as you might know, a lot of really crappy dog food is not made from the best ingredients. So if you're buying crappy dog food and it's full of sawdust, this is a feast for an animal. This is what I bought. It was in a little bag, had the little Ziploc, and it was, if I were a dog, I would think this is heaven. As a human, I recognize that it was pretty chewy. And it had some little spots in it that looked like, they didn't process this as much as they should have.
Okay.
And it made me think there's something a little bit off about this.
Okay.
And I immediately, as a good research tech does, turned the package around and I started reading it after I had eaten it.
And it said, not designed for human consumption. Is that what it said?
It might have said something like that. Really, it just was talking about how great your dogs are going to love it. And at that moment, I realized this is probably, like you said, not meant for humans, but specifically for dogs. Could I have eaten it? Probably. Would I have been a worse man for it? No. And I still am not. But it was for dogs.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified, because on that recommendation, I'm going to take a strong, hard pass on eating that particular, dog food.
Eat a different brand of dog food.
No.
And call the show.
Try Blue Buffalo. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I lost a bet in the 3rd grade, and I had to eat dog chow. No, I'm sorry, it was Gravy Train. Sorry. Gravy Train. You ever had Gravy Train?
Is that a dog brand?
You ever heard of Gravy
it's a
Train?
dog food,
No.
isn't it?
It's a dog food. There used to be big commercials for them in the 70s. And I lost a bet, and I kept my end of the bargain, and I ate a cup of Gravy Train. And to this day, I will never forget the vileness of that consumption.
So
it was bad.
So
was it crunchy?
Oh, it was very crunchy. It
I
did
didn't know
not
if it was
lack
the soft dog
kibble.
food.
No.
Oh,
It was
okay.
very, very crunchy, but you're supposed to add water to it to make the Gravy Train. I chose not to do that, and it would have been gross, even more gross, if it would have had water on it.
Really, what Brad's describing is much worse than what I did.
yeah.
But
You
the
ate
difference,
a full cup of dog food.
Yeah, but he
the
lost
difference
a bet.
was I was in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a otherwise responsible human being adult that you're at least purport to be.
All right.
Does it help that my son ate it too and he's in 2nd grade?
But you gave it to him though, right?
He trusted
He
you.
was like, you're really
aiding-
dogging on my family now.
You were aiding and abetting the providing non-edible food products
I
to
don't
your
think-
son.
A few years ago, I actually tried a milk bone just out of morbid curiosity.
No, are you serious
Yeah.
now? Why hasn't this come up before?
Well, because that's not good radio before.
This is the top of the show as we're doing this right now.
Yeah. Well, you wanted fun today, so here we go.
Yeah, I guess so.
One of the guys is like, oh, yeah, it's just kind of,
One of the guys.
yeah, bland and whatever. And so we each took one and tried it.
Now, this is coming back up because when this topic becomes fodder again, which
Yes.
apparently it's going to
It
forever, let's not forget what Brad Range has done. He has chosen to eat dog food and went through with it. And still yet,
Yeah, I wasn't
somehow,
fooled by the package.
the butt of the joke is that I tried jerky that I thought was human jerky, realized that it wasn't, and did not eat it. And I'm in a room of people who have eaten it by choice.
Yeah, but mine, of course, again, I was in the 3rd grade.
Brad wasn't.
I
but
know,
Brad
I was like
not.
in the 7th.
You were in the 7th grade.
Oh, that's actually a little bit better than I thought it was. I thought you meant the guys a couple years
we
ago.
didn't do this No, this is 7th grade.
Well, speaking of absurd actions, okay, how's this for a segue?
I'm waiting.
Jussie Smollett. I know you guys talked about this last week a little bit because I heard some of the conversation, but I'm still taken aback to this day about the audacity of the Illinois Supreme Court to reverse the Jussie Smollett conviction. Now, we all know Jussie Smollett He did it. How do we know he did it? There's video. The people that he paid, the moron Jesse Smollett actually wrote a check to his accomplices. They cashed the check. They've admitted what they did. They admitted how they were recruited. They said that none of what Jesse Smollett said is true, and the Chicago Police Department was forced to expend tens of thousands of dollars in man hours to investigate this alleged hate crime, which turned out to be a spoof of the media, and they all bought into it. And after all of that, then you've got the Kim Fox in Chicago, who is the Kim Gardner of Chicago. She is a George Soros paid-for prosecuting attorney, trained by George Soros's think tank called the Vera Institute on how to not prosecute crime. That's the way they're trained to operate. The way to combat racism is to not prosecute crime. But it seems odd. I mean, that would be like if you guys had me come in here today and you say, Brad, we need you to fill in for 3 hours, but we don't want you to talk.
We don't want you to do radio.
We don't want you to speak. We just want you to stand here. Well, 3 hours of silence does not make for good radio. And in the same way, hiring a prosecuting attorney to not prosecute crime goes against what they did. And yet the Illinois Supreme Court validated that noli prosecuere, which is the Latin for non-prosecution. They validated that and allowed Jesse Smollett now to further lie and try to claim that he didn't do it. Thoughts?
I legally, I'm glad you're here because I didn't know how to approach this legally, because there could be things here that I'm like, yeah, actually, just from a legal standpoint, that's correct. And it's hard to not cloud your judgment because this story is so ridiculous and salacious that you feel like there should be some sort of recompense for Jesse Smollett because of what he did in trying to basically turn the nation against half of the nation.
Right.
I mean, he
More than half.
tried to make a national event out of something he completely fabricated for his own career.
And he used the people's resources to do so.
And that's where it gets murky because, okay, now he's spent, taxpayer money essentially to do it.
Yeah, well, there's this idea of double jeopardy. We've all heard of double jeopardy. You can't be charged and convicted of the same claim or crime twice. But a noli pros, as it's called, a dismissal of charges is not a prosecution. So under the Constitution, that does not rise to the level of double jeopardy because he was, in fact, never prosecuted for that crime. Now, I read the briefs filed by the parties. I read them, a couple of months ago, so I don't have all the case law memorized. But I can tell you that the special prosecutor that was hired on this case cited multiple, and when I say multiple, there were at least a dozen instances under Illinois law where people who have had their charges dismissed were still later able to be prosecuted because it did not violate the concept of double jeopardy. But the Illinois Supreme Court, in ignoring that case law, chose to transform the Jesse Smollett situation from what should have been a legal decision, and they put it back into a political decision. And so the Illinois Supreme Court said, we're going to ignore the law, and we're going to, again, validate, because we agree with the politics of Jesse Smollett, we're going to validate his politics and ignore the law. And to me, courts should never be doing that.
That's discouraging because I was hoping that, yes, while Jesse Smollett is getting off here and scot-free or whatever, his career is really not, in the eyes of the public, he has not maintained a good rapport. But
no.
Which is good. That actually, to me, is the proper punishment, is that he tried to further his career by lying, and his career has now been basically shot.
Right, it has. But there's also a silver lining here, because even though this gets rid of the criminal situation with regard to his conviction, which was really functionally irrelevant. He had already served his 150 days in prison. He had already done that. He'd already done some of these other things in order to get this dismissal of a prosecution. So to me, it's not really that big of a deal. But the silver lining, if there is any silver lining, is that the civil case can still go forward. So the city of Chicago is suing Jussie Smollett to recoup the money that it paid. And I read through the entire decision from the Illinois Supreme Court, and not at one point did they say he was innocent. Not at one point did they say he didn't do this. They simply and very narrowly determined on the grounds of so-called due process that because they had this deal with Kim Foxx, then we're not going to allow the prosecution to stand. But they at no point said he was innocent. So the civil case can still go forward. And now we have like an O.J. Simpson deal, where even though they may have skated on the criminal aspects, the civil judgment against O.J. Simpson just pursued him for the remainder of his lifetime. And we're going to see that here with Jussie Smollett. So not only is he not going to get hired anywhere, but when he starts doing lawn work and gardening, or working in the city of Chicago sanitation department, or whatever job he eventually gets, at that point he's going to lose the civil case, and his bank account will be drained to the extent that it costs the taxpayers of the city of Chicago to investigate a fraudulent allegation of crime.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, my point was, if the Supreme Court had found that the Illinois Supreme Court had found that this was, we disagree with Jussie Smollett, but here's why it shouldn't happen. It sounds like to me what you're saying is, no, they actually looked for a political reason to let him off.
So
I think they did.
Was Kim Foxx's plea deal was not legally binding?
Well, it was an agreement not to prosecute.
Okay.
All right. But when it went to a special prosecutor, then they were prosecuted. So the legal question from a double jeopardy standpoint is, did the fact that they nolly-prossed the initial charges, does that prevent a further prosecution of that crime? And the answer to that under Illinois law is no. It does not prevent further prosecution because the charges were dropped. If they would have, like, for example, here's your classic situation.
Okay.
I get this all the time. Clients of mine, they get a speeding ticket, right? And they call me up and they say, Brad, I got a speeding ticket. I don't want this to go on my insurance. Okay, fine. And everyone says fixing a ticket. There is no such thing as fixing a ticket. What you do is that you agree to plead to a lesser charge that's a non-moving violation, and in exchange for that, you pay a fine. That is, you're being charged now with a muffler violation or improper parking or improper vehicle noise or any of those things, and in exchange for that, you pay a fine. So you're being convicted of a crime. It just happens to be a non-moving crime. So you're being convicted. Now, if you want to be charged with that speeding charge again, you're going, oh, no. I've already pled guilty to this other charge. And that's at the point that your due process rights require under double jeopardy, you can't be charged with the same crime again. That's not what happened with Jussie. They simply dismissed the charges. They did not prosecute him. If he would have pled guilty to littering and then been sentenced to serve that time in jail or community service or whatever in exchange for reducing those charges to littering, then double jeopardy would have attached. But that's not what happened.
Does double jeopardy ever apply when a case is moving up in the court system? So if something happens at a lower court and then a higher court, and you're innocent, then a higher court agrees to take it and say, no, we're going to relook at this. Can you say, no, that's double jeopardy then? Or is it that, no, once it moves up, then it's redone?
No, in the appellate process, that's not. It's considered a continuation of the same matter.
Okay.
It's not a new matter every time. But in this instance, double jeopardy does not attach because the charges were dismissed. And there's case law on this. So that's why it moves into the political arena here, which to me is unfortunate because really you're validating, by doing this, the Supreme Court is saying we are validating someone who fabricated charges in order to bolster his own career and to smear the Republican nominee for president. And we're going to validate that by saying we're going to remove those criminal convictions from your record. And to me, courts should not be encouraging people to fraudulently report crime. And yet that's what the Illinois Supreme Court did last week. And to me, that in of itself should be a crime. But I will tell you what's not a crime. In fact, what I will tell you is that it's not only not a crime, but it's a pleasure in the next segment to talk about guns and hoses. We all heard of guns and hoses. We've got some folks on in the next segment from both police and fire to talk about the upcoming Guns and Hoses event, what it means, the emotional connection with guns and hoses, but more importantly, how does it help our police and firefighters who literally every day put their lives on the line to protect you and me. That's coming up next right here on the Andy Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Without falling to your feet, but there's a side to you that I never knew all the things you say they were never true.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan looking to save you some money. Right now everybody's spending money big time. What if your mortgage payment was lower? What if that super high interest rate that you were forced to get because you had to move into a new home at the most inopportune time? Yeah. What if you could lower that right now and not have to pay anything in closing costs to do it? It's a no-brainer, right? When you call 314-324-4440, that's 314-324-4440, Stewie's going to tell you exactly how to do it. Oftentimes, with the no closing costs, you might even get to skip a mortgage payment as the whole process moves through, and that would maybe be nice here at the end of the year, don't you think? If you're looking to lower your interest rate, if you're looking to buy a new home, do not pay closing costs somewhere else that you don't have to pay with Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. They don't exist. They aren't rolled into something else. You're not financing them over time. Zero closing costs. Do you hear me, people? 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Have you ever been told you can't get into the water for 30 minutes after eating because you can cramp up and drown? And then you were told if you eat watermelon seeds, you're going to grow a watermelon in your stomach. Swallowing gum it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. Don't sit too close to the TV or you'll go blind. Wow, these aren't your peers saying this is your, people you're counting on that you believe and you trust. Or the air conditioning that we have now isn't good enough for you, so you need to do this. I don't know, guys. If you have questions, you have doubts, and you want common sense approach to, heating and cooling your home affordably, call me, Bart Inman, one really easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Attention, Missouri residents in need of care at home. If you have Medicaid and need assistance with daily activities, you can receive free in-home care from a loved one, funded by Medicaid with no cost to you. Freedom Care, Missouri's #1 home care provider, gives you the power to choose who provides your care, and they get paid instantly. Imagine your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid instantly after their shift. Freedom Care has over 5,000 five-star Google reviews and is #1 in Missouri for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want great care from a loved one that's 100% free to you, go to freedomcare.com or call 314-557-3027. That's 314-557-3027. 314-557-3027.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com. 97.1 is proud to be the first station to ever broadcast Guns and Hoses this year, helping support the families of first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty. And if you're not going to be there, listen live to our broadcast.
Sponsored by T.R. Hughes Homes and Golden Oak Lending.
Remember the words you told me, love me till the day I die. Surrender my everything, 'cause you made me believe you're mine.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Yeah, you beat me at my
my own damn game.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. And I got to tell you, it is my pleasure to introduce two distinguished gentlemen here that's going to join me in studio for this segment. That is Eureka Fire Chief Greg Brown. Chief Brown, it's great to meet you, sir.
Great to meet you, too. Thanks for having us down.
Yeah, and we also have Lieutenant Colonel Lawrence O'Toole. He's the Executive Director of Backstoppers and a retired St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, and also FBI National Academy class. So, sir, welcome.
Thank you, and glad to be here.
So I know you guys are here, and I've already told you that my dad was a volunteer firefighter, and so both of you gentlemen are very near and dear to my heart. My dad's best friend was the sheriff of Franklin County, Illinois, and he loved to tell the story that some guy named Earl was coming out of the Moose Lodge one night, and he was staggering. He could barely walk, and he was trying to get his car key into the pickup truck, couldn't get it in. The sheriff pulls up and says, "Earl, what are you doing? You're drunk." And Earl said, "Well, I have to drive. I'm too drunk to walk." And so the sheriff drove him home. But I'm obviously, guys, I applaud you for what you do. But let's talk a little bit about the upcoming Backstoppers, because I could sit and tell stories all day long. So when is Backstoppers Guns and Hoses this year?
It's this Wednesday, November the 27th.
Okay.
It starts at 5 o'clock, and we'll have preliminary bouts from 5 to 6:30, and then at 6:30 the show really gets going. It's on TV. It's broadcast here on 97.1. So it's the most fun you're ever going to have on the night before Thanksgiving in St. Louis, hands down.
That is great. So, Lieutenant Colonel O'Toole, tell me, how long has this been going on? How long have we had Guns and Hoses?
I think we're in our 37th year now of Guns and Hoses, and it started 37 years ago with a gentleman by the name of Jerry Clinton, who was the owner of Gray Eagle. Jack Mortarelli and Bo Holly put together this idea of having this boxing match, and it's continued on till today. And now David Stokes with Gray Eagle, he's the president of Guns and Hoses, and Steve Holly, Bo's son, is there, and he stepped up and he's running it. And we have a lot of other volunteers to keep this event going.
We're gonna have Steve on tomorrow.
Oh,
to talk about it.
Very good. And I know that everyone is familiar with Guns and Hoses, but Chief Brown, just tell us a little bit about the money raised. What does it go for?
The money, 100% of the money raised goes to the Backstoppers. The Backstoppers is just an amazing organization that steps in when our police officers, firefighters are killed in the line of duty, are catastrophically injured, and they take care of the families. They do whatever it takes. Colonel O'Toole is the executive director of the Backstoppers. He's an amazing guy. He's replacing Chief Ron Battelle, who has been there for 20 years, truly an amazing guy. And they step in whatever it takes. I can tell you that one of the first Backstoppers board meetings I got to attend, there was a widow. This was probably 10 years ago. But there was a widow who her husband was killed in line of duty, a police officer, back in the 1970s. And so she had to be in her 80s, needed a new roof on her house, didn't have a way to pay for it. There was no question. She was taken care of.
Wow.
The families are taken care of. Kids are guaranteed education all the way up to graduate school, doctoral degrees if they can do the work to get there. The Backstoppers is there. So it's an amazing organization that takes care of these families of those public servants when the time's the worst.
Colonel O'Toole, I want to turn to you for a moment, because how important is it for officers, for firefighters who are out there in the field doing what they do, whether it's stopping crime, investigating crime, putting out fires, investigating fires, all the things that you guys do, and I'm in awe of what you do, and I'm just going to have to get that out there. But how important is it to folks who are actually on the street knowing that Backstoppers has their back?
You know, being a first responder is a very dangerous job. And those first responders know the danger that comes along with it. And I think that it's a great point because every day our first responders are out there doing a fantastic job, and they don't dwell on, hey, they know that they could really go bad, but they know also that the backstoppers. That we're going to be there, so they recognize that and they fully understand that. The Backstoppers, just to talk a little bit, it was created in 1959. It's a 501c3. All our funding comes from fundraisers like Guns and Hoses, which is our biggest fundraiser, through other donations, other fundraisers, and memberships. We're dependent upon it. We don't get any tax money or any type of government money or grants like this, but in our time, we've supported over 200 families.
My goodness!
Right now, as I stand here today, we're supporting approximately 95 families and 75 children. And as Chief Brown said, I call it from preschool to graduate school. They don't age out. The children don't age out with us until 26. And again, right now, this year. So in July, Captain James Kova, Afton Fire District, he died in the line of duty. In August, police officer Travis Brown with the Ferguson Police Department was catastrophically injured, and we're assisting his family now. That was in August, and he's in some rehab in Atlanta. So our prayers are for him. So we're assisting that family. In September, we had police officer David Lee, who was a St. Louis police officer who was killed on Highway 70. I just retired from the St. Louis Police Department a little more than 2 years ago, and so I knew Officer Lee, just a good officer. So we're assisting his family, and then just a few days after that, we had a St. Louis City sheriff who suffered a fatal heart attack down at the courthouse. Sheriff Deputy Dennis Boyd. So we've assisted these families already this year. So it's something that the first responders know, and they appreciate everything we do, and we have a lot. We have a great community. We have 28 counties we support. Our footprint is 28 counties.
I did not know that.
18 counties in Missouri, 10 in Illinois. We go as far west as Clinton County, so it's on its way to Mount Vernon. So all the way to Clinton County. In Missouri, we go as far west as Gasconade County, Montgomery County, and Phelps County, as far north as Pike County in Missouri, and as far south as Scott County, which is just south of Cape Girardeau. So we have a pretty large footprint. When we hear Backstoppers, we think of the metropolitan area, but we have a much larger footprint than that.
And I want to make something else clear, too, because a lot of times, particularly when we saw with Travis Brown and others, where we know that they're having workers' compensation benefits that are paying for some of the needs of the families, the things that Backstoppers covers is things that workers' compensation insurance coverage would never cover, the way you provide for the children, right?
Right, yes. We assist the children take their tuition payments, and like I said, all the way from preschool to college. And we're supporting 75 children right now.
So you mentioned, Chief Brown, that the Guns and Hoses is this Wednesday night. If people want to attend this, not only to help Backstoppers, but to see this friendly rivalry that I'm going to ask you about in just a moment, how can they get tickets for this?
Right now, what you need to do is go online at stlgunsandhoses.com to see if there's any tickets available. They are getting short, I'll tell you that. We're going to have a sellout. There's also an opportunity tonight at 4 o'clock at Helen Fitzgerald's is the weigh-in and press conference, and there'll be a few tickets there that'll be able to be had. So if you show up out at Helen Fitzgerald's at 4 o'clock, you could possibly pick up a ticket there.
And that's 4 o'clock today.
Today, yeah.
Very, very good. Now, gentlemen, before I let you go, I got to tell you this. One of my favorite shows is Blue Bloods, all right? And one of the things that Blue Bloods always shows is this friendly rivalry between the police and the firefighters. Is that true? You guys have this friendly rivalry between the two of you?
Absolutely, it's true. And it is friendly. Colonel O'Toole being with the police department, me being with the fire department. Anybody who's been around us, they know we're back and forth at each other all of the time. But if somebody said something bad about him, I would be right there with her, whatever it takes.
I mean, all first responders, we're truly, brothers and sisters. I mean, we're close. We may rib one another, but when the going gets tough, we're out there, and we're out there together. We're on many scenes together. The police and fire, we are on many scenes together. So we're dependent upon one another. And just as a final point, if anybody has questions about the Backstoppers and what we do, backstoppers.org. It'll tell you everything about what we do. All the different fundraising events they're all over the 28 counties. All the first responders who we honor, who we've taken over and helped assist their families financially. So backstoppers.org. If anybody has any questions at all about the organization,
and you can go on there, you can donate, you can see different fundraisers, all sorts of things like that. Correct?
Yes, you can go on there. You can. We have a number of different levels of memberships, and so all that you can get right on. We have if you're interested, there's an apparel shop if you want to buy something that says Backstoppers on it and all that. So I encourage people, hey, if you have any questions at all about Backstoppers, go on our webpage and just about everything you may ask, you'll find the answer to right there.
Very good, gentlemen. Again, Guns and Hoses this Wednesday night. If you can't make it, it'll be right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And Chief O'Toole, as I tell my kids, I teased all my girls mercilessly. I always told them I tease you because I love you. So, it's that brotherhood love thing, and I'm glad you guys exhibit that. Chief Brown, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
And I know that I'm going to be checking out Guns and Hoses this year. I hope everyone does, too. Thanks for coming in studio with us today.
Thank you very much.
Hey, we're going to take a break here on the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young filling in today. We'll be back with more of the Annie Fry Show right after this.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-296-3315. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-296-3315. 800-296-3315 or oxcarcare.com.
Wow, this year has flown by, and now you're planning to sell your home. Like you, most families have been waiting on the sidelines. Well, now the timing is better, but you still have questions, right? Hey, Mark Cox here from my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Lou, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria Lou for years now. Why? Because Gloria Lou is St. Louis real estate expert, and if you have a home to sell, you need to get to know her like I have. I've seen her systems, her guarantees. I've even met her clients. In fact, I'm also a client. She's different than any other realtor, and if you need help selling your home for the most money, you need to do what I did. Call Gloria Lou. Here's another tip. If you have a home to sell in Crestwood, Shaw, Maplewood, the Central West End, you must give Gloria Lou a call. Take it from me and call my friend Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. At Odyssey, we believe in casting a wide net to create a diverse and inclusive workforce, as we value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be directly notified of our open positions. Again, that's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for our listeners, we invite you to visit odysseyinc.com/careers. There, you'll find an online listing of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BEDSORE.
Today's YouTube live chat poll Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? Now, that's kind of an open-ended question. We're getting a lot of answers that are all over the board. Some are saying yes, but I'm okay with them. So it could be really anything. And a lot of people saying, no, this person in particular makes me want to jump out of my skin or whatever. Let us know exactly what you think to this yes or no question. Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? It's the YouTube live chat poll of the day. You still find, even though Annie's not here, you go to YouTube and you type in Annie Fry. Today's date will come up. That's where you find the poll. 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
You've got thoughts. Did you know you also have a microphone? Listen to 97.1 on the Odyssey app and click the microphone to leave a voice message. Whatever's on your mind, let us know by clicking the microphone in the Odyssey app. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins!
Wiegan!
Well, that's a shame that Brad Young didn't give me an introduction because usually he gives me a very good one. But I guess we'll just go right into the sounder. That's all right. I don't think your mic's on, my friend.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, there we go. So first, this is the Monday roundup, so all the stories that you missed from the weekend. Kind of the page 2 stuff that we might not get to in the rest of the show. The first one, Macy's, as in the department store, delayed its third quarter earnings report because an employee they found has hidden up to $154 million in expenses.
Wow.
What?
That's it?
They hid it?
Yeah, Macy's on Monday, this is from Yahoo Finance, delayed its third quarter earnings release as it conducts an internal investigation into employee hiding hundreds of millions of dollars in expenses. This was one employee responsible for small package delivery.
Now, here's the question, though. Wait, here's the question. Is he hiding expenses of the company, or is he hiding his own personal expenses? Because if he can figure out a way to have $150 million in a year of personal expenses, I want to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Because he's got places to party.
Yeah, and also, it would be tough to sue him because he's going to hire great lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
With that $154 million. No, I don't think that was the case, though. It says that this is in accounting, and it was intentionally made erroneous accrual entries, I guess, over the span of a few years that hid between $132 million and $154 million. That's where the audit comes in.
Gotcha.
They're not exactly sure how much it is, just in the $150 million range. But this is over years, so it was quarter 4 of 2021 through the quarter that just ended. Macy's said that, surprise, surprise, the employer is no longer with the company.
What? Yeah. Well, you know the difference between a good accountant and a great accountant, don't you?
No.
A good accountant tells you how much money you've made. A great accountant says, how much money do you want to make? Those are two completely different questions.
I gotcha. Okay. If my sound's up. Yeah, there we go. It's all the way up, my sound there. All right, the next one is, I'm not going to play the sound because we've already played some of this sound, but apparently the hosts of The View, according to an Odyssey article here, were forced to read 4 different legal notes in one episode.
Oh my gosh.
So we've been playing back the random ones. This has got to be because of the administration change. They've been slandering everybody forever and getting away with it.
Nobody cared.
And then all of a sudden Trump wins the election. They're like, you know what we should do? Not slander people, or at least correct them when they do. Like all of a sudden you have truth in reporting. It's so weird.
It's so funny because on that, they'll come out of a thing and they'll be like, oh, and before we go to break, Sonny, you have a legal note?
That's exactly what happened in this random episode. It says the first note was made while Joy Behar was discussing George Santos. and the former congressman's 23 criminal charges. Minutes after discussing Santos, she was forced to read a message from the show's producers. So this is happening in live time.
Gosh.
1 minute, I just got a note, Behar told the audience. We have to clarify that Santos eventually reached a plea deal after pleading guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Is that a legal note? Said co-host Haynes. Kind of. It's a clarification. Yeah, Behar said. So that's number one. That's number one. Remember, this is one show. Later in the show, the host talked about sexual assault allegations against Matt Gaetz, Trump's first pick for Attorney General, and Pete Hegseth, his defense secretary pick. After making comments regarding the men, Hostin was forced to read out denials provided by both men's lawyers regarding the allegations. I have a legal note. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime, Hostin said. That's
Wow.
number 2.
Yep.
Number 3. This show is a lot of number 2, by the way.
Watch where you step.
Number 3. Also, I got another legal note. It just went right into the next one. Pete Hegseth's lawyer has said he paid the woman, his assault accuser, in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing, she went on to add. Just minutes later, Hostin issued the show's 4th note, this time pertaining to Pam Bondi, Trump's new pick to be the Attorney General. I'm sorry, everyone. I have another legal note. Hostin said, drawing groans and an, oh, God, from Behar. Both Trump and Bondi have denied allegations of a quid pro quo. They're just slinging anything out there.
This is amazing.
That his past donation played any role in her office's decision to not take legal action against Trump University when she was Attorney General of Florida. Navarro joked that the show is just going to be legal notes and things we're selling.
Well, yeah. In fact, I just read on breaking news that the newest member of The View is Terry Crouppen. In fact, that
No,
he's
really?
the latest member. They're going to have Terry Crouppen on live every day to say, you need to walk that back. So it's even going to be in real time as the show progresses.
Are you sure he's not already there? Because that's what this sounds like is happening. I mean, that's remarkable because we thought the first one, Sonny Hostin reads the thing about Matt Gaetz, and you go, oh, it's funny.
The first one, she looked like she was going to choke on it before she said it.
Yeah. Now they're having to make it part of content. That they're just constantly retracting their own statements.
Well, I got a better solution. I got a better solution for all this. Is that the beginning of every show should start with a disclaimer that says, warning, nothing said during the next 60 minutes is remotely true or accurate.
That's how you do it.
And
right
you just
there.
start it right on the front end to
Yeah.
say, everything is a work of fiction. Nothing here is of fact. And in fact, all of the opinions expressed during the next 60 minutes are baseless and have no foundation in law or reality. And you just do that kind of a disclaimer at the beginning and just tell everybody on the front end, this whole thing's fiction.
Otherwise, they're going to have their in-ear pieces. Oh, wait, that's not accurate either?
Oh, yeah.
Crap.
So,
hey,
so
we have to
just
tell
start
you
out.
that wasn't true.
Just start at the beginning. Nothing is true.
Just like South Park does.
Exactly.
None of these characters are actually based on anyone real.
Yeah,
and then
nothing.
it's like, introducing Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And like, that's not really what we're doing, though. We put the disclaimer at the beginning.
I was gonna say the only difference between the two is that South Park is funny, but honestly, The View is pretty funny.
I think The View's very
Yeah,
funny.
so-
It's getting there. All right. Yeah, it's this is the world we live in. I think we're all just waiting. Like, how do you do? I mean, I'm not defending them, but how do you do a show if you know that anything you say, there's a lawyer just sitting there right off the side, just jotting it down? Okay,
there you
pass
go.
that one to Whoopi, please.
I'm just listen. As my wife always likes to say, though, it's always good when the lawyers get paid. That's my wife's favorite saying.
Yeah, I've heard your wife say that a few times.
She says that a
through
lot.
you.
She says that a
I've
lot.
never heard her actually say it.
Oh,
but
she says it a lot.
Heard you quote it.
In fact, she says it about once a week. She says that.
Well, if I were her, I'd say it daily. I mean, shoot, why not?
Well, I don't get paid every day.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate for you. Here at Odyssey, we get paid every day. The next story is TSA warns not to bring these dishes through security checkpoints. So I didn't know that this was a thing. Apparently, people fly with their food a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done this?
No.
Okay.
But it seems like, though,
disdain.
it seems like the guy next to me, I've seen very large human beings that I thought were sipping gravy. So,
oh man,
I could see them doing that
on the plane.
On the plane, I don't know what they were drinking,
Gravy
but
plane.
It looked like gravy.
The TSA has released a list of approved dishes so travelers can know when and what they should tell their friends and family they'll make for this year's Turkey Day dinner. Here's the odd thing. Most foods can be carried through TSA checkpoints. I know you always go through the checkpoint and think, I can't bring my bottle of water. Most things actually can go through, it says. But if you can spill it, spread it, spray it, pump it, or pour it, and it's larger than 3.4 ounces.
Oh, the jokes.
It
the
must
jokes
be
that come to mind
in a
right
checked
now.
bag. The TSA says that common foods like baked goods, meats, stuffing, casseroles, fresh fruit, candy, and more can be carried through security checkpoints. However, any liquid items like gravy, canned fruits or vegetables, preserves, jellies, maple syrup, and more should be stored in your checked bag. Otherwise, they may not make it to dinner on Thursday. So if you're bringing gravy, put it in your checked bag.
Yeah. And, if you put a turkey, even though you can't sip it, spread it, or sip it, if you're putting a turkey in your checked baggage, I've got 2 words for you. That's E. coli. Are the 2 words that I have for you.
Yeah, I got 2 words for you. Bop it. If you can spill it, spread it, spray it, pump
Twist it.
pour it, twist it. Bop it. Ethan liked that one.
Yeah.
Damn it.
We get a certain degree of freedom on this show
Yeah.
when Annie's not
There's
here.
There's no lawyer standing outside the door.
But there's one standing inside the room.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Exactly. But we get to have a lot of fun here because when the cat's away, the mice will play. Brad Young sitting in for Annie Fry. More right after this. 97.1 FM Talk.
Your child or grandchild is in school, right? And you worry about them. There's so much stuff going on in the world. You want something better for them. Maybe it's semester this year. You finally pull the trigger and you do what's absolutely best for them and you consider a Lutheran education. That research project for you can start right now very simply by going to lisastl.org/Annie. That's Lisa with an E. lisastl.org/Annie. And I'm here to tell you, it's affordable. You haven't even thought about it. You didn't even want to think about it because you didn't want to look at something that you didn't think that you could have. You can have this for your child. You can afford this. You just have to start the conversation and learn about Lutheran education with 37 elementary schools in the St. Louis metro area, Missouri and Illinois combined. It's out there and it's for you. Grandparents, think about what you could provide for your grandchild. Talk to your children about it and get the process started. Look them up online at lisastl.org/Annie. lisastl.org/Annie.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Make holiday magic this year with something beautiful and timeless from Diamonds Direct. A stunning eternity band, a pair of classic diamond stud earrings, something new and eye-catching from a world-class designer. Or maybe you're looking for that perfect engagement ring or a fabulous timepiece. At Diamonds Direct, we have the perfect gifts for the season, starting at around $500. Come and let our experts help you pick out that headliner gift. Or for some fabulous ideas, see the online seasonal gift guide now at diamondsdirect.com. You can even chat now with a virtual assistant for the ultimate convenience. Whether you connect online or in person, you're guaranteed to get the extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and white glove service Diamonds Direct is known for. And to help make your purchase even more affordable, we've got special financing so you can spread out your payments. Get directions, details, special showroom hours, and our holiday gift guide now at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
News alert. A motion for dismissal on Lisa Brady. A special counsel just moving to toss out the federal election interference case against President-elect Trump, now that he won a second term.
After thousands of pages and hundreds of hours of interviews, it comes down to just 6 pages. Jack Smith, the special counsel, asking Judge Tanya Chutkan to dismiss this superseding indictment. This is the election interference case in Washington, D.C., where Donald Trump was charged with trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Ultimately, Smith says that DOJ does not prosecute sitting presidents. This never went to trial. It was supposed to go to trial earlier this year. That never happened. So he's asking to dismiss this case.
Fox's David Spunt at the Justice Department. Smith is also abandoning the Trump classified documents case, which had been tossed out by a judge this summer, but Smith had been appealing that ruling. A federal judge in Colorado just ruling that the San Jose State women's volleyball team will be allowed to play in the Mountain West tournament, denying an emergency motion for an injunction in a legal fight over a transgender player. Israel and Lebanon finalizing a ceasefire with an Iran-backed militant group, though U.S. officials warn it's not a done deal yet.
Israeli, Lebanese, French, and American officials are suggesting a ceasefire to end fighting between Israel and Hezbollah is close.
We believe the trajectory is going in the right direction here to potentially getting this ceasefire done, but it's not done.
White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby would not detail reported specifics of the emerging deal or a timeline, but the proposal is believed to end fighting for 60 days and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon and Hezbollah fighters from the border region.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. America is listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The chill in the air continues thanks to a cold front. Our temperatures going down to about 44 by sunset, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Slow clearing tonight, a cold 27. Tuesday, sunny and cold 43. Wednesday, the clouds are back. Some showers developing Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday night is wet with periods of rain, even some wet snow mixing in 35. Thanksgiving Day is cloudy but dry. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brand new flooring is one of the most amazing ways to reinvent your home. Maybe it's your place of business, residential, or commercial. Michael's Flooring Outlet has you covered, you might say. In St. Charles, you can find them in St. Charles County at 116 Main Street. In Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70. In West County, you can find them on Olive Boulevard, just 1 mile off 270 West on Olive. They also have a location for you in Darting Prairie. If you go to igotfloor.com, you'll find more information on the location nearest you. But I want to encourage you, especially this type of season where the wind is picking up outside, it's getting a little more chilly. You want to come in, you want it to be cozy and comfortable. This is when carpet in a home, for me personally, I just love it. It makes it so much more cozy. And the Smart Strand Mohawk Silk with the silky softness and the superior performance that you're looking to invest in, You can find that at Michael's Flooring Outlet, along with the best people in the business and great, great value. Visit one of their 3 locations or online at igotfloored.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
We all know how important nutrition is to our health, and now is the time to do something about it. With Neovitin Women's Multivitamin, you can give your body sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to support your daily health. Created by a St. Louis physician, Neovitin Women's Multivitamin is formulated with our proprietary blend for daily support you won't find anywhere else. Best of all, you can get Neovitin Women's Multivitamin delivered right to your door with our convenient monthly subscription. Go to neovitin.com and sign up for a subscription today.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com. If you're looking for all the comforts of home plus some in a senior living community, check out Hampton Manor of Wentzville, just off the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. They'll even treat you to lunch. Set up your appointment today and tell them Mark Cox sent you. WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is happening now. Tune in to the Annie Fry Show live stream. Vote and be a part of the conversation by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube. Subscribe and leave a comment.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today. Or I actually want to quote Jackie S., who was posting on our YouTube channel, on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. She posted, and I'm quoting here, she says, quote, "Big fan of the Manny Fry Show," unquote. So welcome to the Manny Fry Show. Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range, Brad Young sitting in today. Glad you are with us. We've had a couple of things that were breaking news. One involves Jack Smith. We'll get to that as the show unfolds. But the thing I wanted to talk about, because it ties in with some other topics I wanted to discuss in this segment, and that is that according to various news outlets, including the BBC and others, that there is a close, the parties are close, meaning Israel and Lebanon, appear close to a ceasefire deal, with the Israeli cabinet set to meet tomorrow, which really will be tonight for us here in the Midwest, are scheduled to meet Tuesday to discuss it, according to both Israeli and U.S. officials. Ryan Wiggins, does this come as any shock to you that before the election it seemed like there was no really substantive progress in these ceasefire talks, and now all of a sudden they're close to a deal? Any shock to you?
Well, two things, sort of, because we have been through this process a few times of watching them come to the table and do negotiations, but they never yielded anything. They were just sort of fluff. They were meetings for the sake of meetings, that nothing came from these meetings. So this could be that. This could be another one of those. But the way they're reporting on it suggests that maybe there's a little more substance to this one. So if there is, I think we all know why there is. Because there is a change in, I'm going to say, worldwide leadership. Because when the U.S. sneezes, the world gets a cold or whatever. That's what Brad says all the time.
Sure.
I think it's a good quote because whenever we do something, it reverberates everywhere. We have just elected a very, very different leader to lead this country who we saw 4 years of Middle East peace under from 2016, 2017 through 2020. So to see this now would not be a shock that they know, things are about to change. Let's try to do it now. Let's get ahead of this thing. Let's try to hammer it out. Whether it actually happens or not remains to be seen.
Right. And you said this is Hezbollah, not Hamas?
Well, Hezbollah is the one who is, well, actually it's being announced through Lebanon. I assume it's going to cover Hezbollah in particular. As I'm looking at the BBC story, I'm not seeing that Hamas is indicated to be a part of this proposed deal, but I presume that it would be.
There's not many people left in Hamas to negotiate.
No, they've all got big gaping wounds where their pockets used to be, thanks to the exploding pagers. But here's what I'm looking at, though. Historically, we have a very strong precedent for this, and that is with the Iranian hostages. Right? They were held hostage throughout most of the Carter administration, and then literally the day before, on January 19, 1981, when Ronald Reagan was being sworn in, literally I believe it was the same morning of the swearing in, the Iranian hostages were all released. And even then, the news media didn't want to say why that was, but it was obvious. If you're releasing all the hostages the moments before Ronald Reagan becomes president, then the reason has to be, there's no other reason, it wasn't a coincidence, that time was chosen because they did not want to face the wrath of Ronald Reagan once he became president. And I think we're seeing something very similar play out here because, as you pointed out, Ryan, there wasn't that type of Middle East violence and warfare going on when Trump was president the first time. And I think there's concerns that what would happen if this is not resolved by January 20 of next year.
Yeah, and the weird thing about the Middle East, so putting Russia and Ukraine aside, in Iran, there are ways that you could, as a president of the United States or somebody in the Western world, although the Western world has basically no spine most of the time, Trump does. When you are the president of the United States and you're Donald Trump, you could feasibly, George W. Bush did this. There's a secularist sect and even somewhat of a Christian sect, it's not big, in Iran.
Yes.
And growing, actually. So you could play to those people and say, do you want regime change? Because they do. It's a matter of it's a matter of inertia. You know, the mullahs and the people in charge of Iran who are hardline Muslim extremists, they've controlled that country, like you said, basically since 1980. And so they have a lot of control there, and they don't want to give it up. And there are a lot of people with a lot of reasons to keep them in charge who want to keep power. But there's a lot of like a populist kind of movement there, too, that's been going on for some time that could feasibly change the way that country operates back to a 1970s form. It's so much harder in Palestine, though, because there really isn't that.
No.
So how do you change their leadership to somebody who'd be more friendly to Israel? You really don't.
Well, here's the thing, though. Whenever you're talking about those groups like Hezbollah and Hamas in Palestine, those are Iranian proxies. So if
100%.
If you take care of Iran, the funding dries up, they go away. They might be there, but they won't be what they are now. And the other thing is under Donald Trump, you had something called the Abraham Accords. And that's where places like Saudi Arabia and these other countries were saying, you know what, we can make financial deals with Israel, and that'll be of a financial benefit to us. And that provides a check against Iranian power because those countries don't like Iran either.
Right. But I want to come back, Brad Range, to something you just said a moment ago, and that's funding. Because I don't know, I was astounded when I read these numbers this week. But as of literally today, the Biden administration has sent $2 billion to the Palestinians. $2 billion.
Unbelievable.
Now, when you look at the fact that Hamas killed over 1,000 Jews and Americans, when you do the numbers, that works out to be approximately that the quote Palestinians, which is code word for Hamas, has been paid by the United States $2 million for every person that they executed. So they've been paid to execute Israelis, Jews, and Americans. $2 million for every person killed. And that's outrageous. So when you talk about funding, they're being funded right now, not just by Iran, they're being funded by the Biden administration to the tune of $2 billion. And I certainly would anticipate that under the upcoming Trump administration, that funding would disappear. Because you can say from a humanitarian standpoint, we're just helping the people that have been displaced by the warfare. But we all know, everyone listening to this conversation knows that when we send money to the quote Palestine, whatever that is, when we send them money, it's being siphoned off to buy rockets, to buy missiles, to buy acts and weapons of war that are intended to be used against Israel. And a fraction of it at most is going to actually help the people who have been displaced, not by the Israelis, but because of the Hamas and Hezbollah that are hiding behind civilians in the Gaza area and hiding behind them, hoping that we hit hospitals, hoping that Israel bombs child care centers and schools, and they're purposefully putting their own people in harm's way, and we're rewarding that behavior to the tune of $2 billion.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. The thing, and Brad said this too, if you go after the head here, if you go after Iran, and this administration has done nothing to stop Iran. In fact, they've almost encouraged Iran to just sort of keep going. They've taken away a lot of the sanctions that Trump had in place that were working. If you cut off the head, it is going to be a lot more difficult for the terrorist groups Hezbollah and Hamas to work out their terror and their wars in the Middle East. But the ideology hasn't changed. So you can't really change the leadership in Hamas in particular, because there's not really anybody there that's like the resistance. There's nobody to turn to and be like, well, these people could lead it back to a more sane place. It's all like from cradle to grave.
Correct.
You are
radicalized.
brainwashed to be radical.
Yeah.
But Lebanon's different though, because Lebanon had been a secular country that has now been mostly taken over by Hezbollah.
Well, Hezbollah exists within Lebanon, but there's still like Lebanese royalty that is in charge of Lebanon.
And so there's still kind of some murky maybe that could work there, because we're talking about long-term solutions. If we as a nation were much more hard line on any of this stuff long-term, they'd know, we can't just wait an administration out. We can't just wait for somebody else to get in there, wait 4 years, and it changes. They would know, America is united on this. We're never going to get any change. But they know right now that the pendulum swings back and forth so much that they can just kind of wait out a hardline president and see who's next.
Well, to me, what has been interesting from America's standpoint when it comes to October 7 was how that event, that massacre, brought out and brought to light the virulent anti-Semitism that exists not only in America, but in particular on the left. And we saw that on parade on the universities across this country, including right here at Washington University in St. Louis, where anti-Semitism came out of the closet. And it was proudly displayed for all to see. There was no hiding. There was no equivocation. They were simply and blatantly describing their anti-Semitism. But what's interesting is that now, just this past week, for the second time last week, Harvard, our judge has allowed lawsuits to go forward against Harvard because of their failure and willful refusal to protect Jewish students in the midst of anti-Semitic behavior. So these lawsuits are going to go forward. Now, I believe there's up to 5 different lawsuits that are pending just against Harvard for this unchecked anti-Semitism. But the most shocking of all of this came from USC this past August, because USC had the exact same situation where there were encampments on campus, much like what we saw during George Floyd, where they were taking over these campuses. They were discriminating against Jews. And in particular, these encampments were saying, if you want to go to your class at USC, and you're Jewish, you have to renounce Israel and you have to renounce Judaism, or we will not allow you to go to school. And the university did nothing about this. So a lawsuit was filed last April, and in August, the judge actually granted relief against one of these students. And this is what the judge said, and I'm quoting here, because to me it is unbelievable that this happens in America. This is what Judge Scarzi said, and I'm quoting, USC has failed to uphold its constitutional obligation to Jewish students by allowing them to be excluded from parts of campus. This fact is so unimaginable and so abhorrent to our constitutional guarantees of religious freedom that it bears repeating. Jewish students were excluded from portions of USC campus because they refused to denounce their faith, unquote. And UCLA does not even dispute this.
Wow.
They don't, and the judge held that. And USC and UCLA both said, we don't dispute this was happening. But here was their defense. And this is the Harvard defense, which is not too far from the Nazi defense, where they said, well, these activities of discrimination are not being done by us. They're being done by third parties, and so we have nothing to do with it. But here's the context that drives me crazy. Let's change the facts a little bit. Let's say there were Ku Klux Klan members on the campus of Washington University who were telling people who are African Americans, you have to renounce your race if you identify as white if you want to go to class. Do you think the university would step in on those circumstances?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that we know they would step in that circumstance, and we also know as a fact that they're not stepping in to the defense of Jewish students, is by itself evidence of discriminatory behavior. And they're fine with it. I know college campuses are fine with discriminating against people, Jewish people in particular, because of their faith and because of their ethnic and racial heritage. And in no other context would that be allowed in our country, but it is if you're Jewish. And that's outrageous. All discrimination, racial, ethnic, religious, all of that is not only morally reprehensible, but it's constitutionally prohibited. And yet our university campuses are fine with it. That was one of the lights that came out of October 7. I'm not saying it was good, but it shined the light on this virulent anti-Semitism that exists on the left today.
Let me just put an exclamation point on this because I know we got to run here. But what drives me crazy is that when lawsuits like this happen, and maybe university is a little bit different, but essentially that's a government-funded program that is like, well, we don't care. It's not even their money. You know, maybe they're getting endowments from somebody, but ultimately that is government taxpayer money that is going to do that and then is going to also fund this lawsuit. Like, so they're really suing the taxpayers because they didn't steward the money well at these universities and they've been discriminatory. And it's the same thing applies to all the lawfare, to Letitia James. If anything happens to these people, they go, well, it was just acting.
It's not my money.
Yeah, it's not my money.
Right. Yeah.
So who cares? So they're not really personally going to be hurt by this at all. They're just like, just throwing it into the wind. It doesn't matter.
Right. But I'm certainly glad that these lawsuits, like the two that were filed just last week against Harvard, the one that's in against USC and UCLA, which is now on appeal by UCLA and USC, are both appealing the decision that held them financially responsible for the anti-Semitic behavior on campus. They're appealing that decision. But these lawsuits are really the only way, because a left-wing mainstream media is not going to hold these universities accountable. They're not going to shine the light of the media on these acts of anti-Semitic behavior because, by and large, perhaps they agree with that behavior. And so I applaud those lawsuits bringing this to light, because otherwise this is information that we simply would not have.
Yeah, it has to happen.
It has to happen. It has to happen. And I don't understand to this day what's wrong with saying discrimination is bad, period. But no, we want the left, rather, not we, the left wants selective discrimination. It's okay to discriminate against some groups, not against others. And I find that interesting because morally, that is not defensible. Morally, ethically, or legally, saying it's okay to discriminate against some, it's not okay to discriminate others. Like Harvard said, it's okay to discriminate against Asians. We have too many Asians here at our university. It's okay. If you're Asian, we're not going to let you in here. That's blatant race-based discrimination, and it took lawsuits and a case to the Supreme Court to bring that practice to an end, and I applaud the Supreme Court for doing that. Hey, it's 1:25. We've got more coming up here on the Annie Fry Show, or should I say the Manny Fry Show. Stick around, more on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's time to grow. So I got an apartment across from the park. Put quinoa in my fridge, still I'm not feeling.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show.
But I'm thinking it's time.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
AirComfortService.com is the website, and if you want to reach out to them to make sure your comfort zone is well within reach this holiday season, call them at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. I'm excited to talk to you about free insulation that you can get with Air Comfort Service. Did you know that 9 out of 10 homes are under insulated? That means that yours probably is. Getting your attic insulation up to code will keep your home warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer, and it can decrease your energy bills by, get this, up to 30%. If you have allergy sufferers in your homes, you can also add in an air scrubber that will improve the indoor air quality by removing up to 99% of surface and airborne contaminants. Level up comfort of your home with a new HVAC system and pick the product you will benefit from the most, either attic insulation or an air scrubber, for free. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-296-3315. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-296-3315. 800-296-3315 or oxcarcare.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Monday afternoon, I'm taking the whole week off, but you're in the capable hands of Mike Elam along with Sue Thomas. It all starts at 3.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you change your mind, take a chance. I'm the first in line. Honey, I'm still free.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
If you need me, let me know.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today for the vacationing Annie. And I know you all will be happy when she comes back. But in the meantime, I'm here. And the poll of the day, if you want to check out our poll of the day, I want you to go to YouTube, put in Annie Fry Show Live. And our poll today is, do any of Trump's picks give you pause? Yes or no? And that's relevant to our next conversation because joining me right now is Lora Ries. She is with the Heritage Foundation, and we're going to talk about one of Trump's picks, and in particular, border security. Lora Ries from the Heritage Foundation. Welcome to 97.1 FM Talk.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
I have to tell you, Laura, one of my daily reads, I hit it every day. Doesn't matter what day it is. In fact, I hit thedailysignal.com multiple times during the day. It's my favorite place to get accurate news that oftentimes is not being reported by the mainstream media. So I want to thank you personally for what the Daily Signal does literally on a daily basis for all of America. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the comment. Yeah, Daily Signal puts out a lot of content.
Yes.
And quite varied, I'd have to say. It covers stories and issues that others do not.
Well, one of the topics, and that's why I wanted to reach out to you today, Laura, is Trump's border security appointments are game changers. And in particular, I want to talk about the immigration issue. So we do know right now Tom Homan is going to be appointed to be the border czar. And how, from your perspective, is that a game changer?
Well, Tom has done this job for decades. He started out in the Border Patrol as an agent and worked his way up. He eventually was the head of ICE enforcement and removal operations before becoming the acting director of ICE. And so he knows the issues. He knows the agents. The agents have confidence in Tom Homan, and their morale has lifted considerably since the election because they know someone is coming back who will actually allow them to do their jobs, release them from their desks, and go enforce the law as Congress wrote.
And I thought this was very interesting, Laura, and that is that we know that under the Trump administration the first time that we saw a sharp decrease in illegal border crossings. Then when Biden came into office and he eliminated all of the executive orders, we then saw a sharp rise in illegal border crossings. But simply right before the election, then we saw some of these executive orders come back. But by and large, hasn't the Biden administration pretty much been for open borders?
Absolutely. They threw open the borders day one. They halted the wall construction. They halted enrollment into the very effective Remain in Mexico program. They halted the asylum cooperative agreements we had with Central American countries, which prevented asylum country shopping, and sent a signal that our borders were open and enriched the cartels. And the historic 10.5 million illegal alien encounters, plus another over 2 million known gotaways, are evidence of what the Biden-Harris administration has done. And while this current administration made it look like they were passing some rules to tighten up the border a little bit, really they didn't. It was all for optics. It was for the election. And really any rule that they would pass, they would create so many exceptions that the exceptions swallowed the rule, and really no change in the net results of mass migration into the country.
We're talking to Lora Ries. She's with the Heritage Foundation and also writes for dailysignal.com. You should, if you don't check it out already, I implore you, check out dailysignal.com. Again, I hit it every single day. And Lora, one of the things we've talked about Tom Homan and how he's respected by the Immigration and Border Control agents and staff because he literally came up from their ranks. But he's not the one that can do it by himself. So isn't it also the case that in addition to appointing someone strong like Tom Homan, that President Trump is also going to have to appoint, like, for example, ambassadors to Mexico who can convince the quasi-socialist government of Mexico to keep these individuals in place and not allow them to come to Mexico? Trump has to have ambassadors that have the ability to operate on a world stage, not just appoint Tom Homan and say, job done, right?
Right. Yes. Strong ambassadors in Mexico and throughout Central America are very important. We had a great ambassador, Chris Landau, during the first Trump administration, and it was one of the reasons that we were able to negotiate remain in Mexico with the government in Mexico. It was, while that authority had been in the statutes since 1996, no president prior to Donald Trump had ever used it before. And so we are going to have to negotiate with not just Mexico about restarting remain in Mexico, but also to get Mexico to secure its southern border and other countries in Central America as well, to apply consequences to illegal immigration and to prevent so much asylum fraud, which is the go-to tool for illegal migrants to enter the U.S. and then to buy years living here, and it makes them very difficult to remove. So these countries are signatories to the asylum protocols and convention internationally, and so they need to enforce asylum laws as well, not just pass people along to the U.S. for us to have to deal with everybody.
Well, what I think a lot of people don't understand, Lora, and I'd like for you to wade in on this, is that Mexico and other Central American countries actually have a financial interest in allowing illegal immigration to the United States. First of all, it allows them to get rid of unsavory citizens that they don't have to deal with. But secondly, and perhaps more importantly, isn't it also the case that, for example, Mexico receives millions and millions of dollars a year from money that is being sent from the United States by illegal immigrants back into the country of Mexico, which boosts their own economy?
Yes. It's been a great deal for these countries for many decades. We have taken in their nationals, so these countries no longer have to worry about their employment. They send money back home in the form of remittances, which the U.S. government has not taxed or withheld. We also give these countries millions, if not billions of dollars in foreign aid. And we also, make business deals and trade deals for direct investment in those countries. It's a great deal for them. And so we need to use the many levers that the U.S. government has with respect to these other countries and say enough is enough. Our American immigration system has to be to benefit Americans. And one strong tool and enticement for these countries is nearshoring. If we want to end reliance on so many of our products being made in China, including pharmaceuticals, these countries are keen to start such businesses, grow such businesses. That means they're going to need labor. And so all of these are negotiating tools to clean up our system, but also to make our hemisphere much more productive.
Very good. Lora Ries from the Heritage Foundation. Lora, if people want to follow you in particular online or read more things from the Daily Signal, how can they find both you and the Daily Signal online?
Yes, Daily Signal is dailysignal.com, and then on Twitter or X, I am at LORA_RIES.
Very good, Lora. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Thanks so much, Brad.
Hey, we're going to take a break here, but I want to continue with this conversation because this is not just an issue when we talk about illegal immigration. This is not just an issue that deals with the border. This is not just an issue that involves dealing with other countries. This is a domestic issue that many states and communities in our own country are literally breaking federal law, and I'm going to dive into that next on the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Are you a business owner looking to grow and succeed? The St. Charles Regional Chamber is here to help. I'm Scott Tate, President and CEO. As the region's largest chamber with nearly 1,200 members, we offer networking, marketing resources, educational programs, and more to support your business. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or starting out, we have the right membership option for you. Explore our investor levels for exclusive benefits or try our free basic membership. For more information, visit stcharlesregionalchamber.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Gain peace of mind that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They give all their clients attentive personal service, even bring toys for the kids of the household. It's a family-owned and operated business for 25-plus years. They make sure you make the right choice for your home. So if you have carpets or hard floors, you're going to be happy for years to come. 3 convenient locations in St. Charles County, 116 Main Street, in Old Town St. Peters at Mid Rivers and Highway 70, in West County on Olive, and the store in Darden Prairie. Michael's Flooring Outlet, IGotFloor.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9-million.
The 37th Budweiser Guns N' Roses presented by Stiefel will be the biggest party of the year, and it's Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, and you're invited. Support the families of fallen first responders. Enter the Odyssey one-of-a-kind raffle to win an incredible Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson artwork created from vinyl records by local artist Lindsay Warner. See it now at stlgunsandhoses.com.
Our YouTube live chat poll is, are you, let me restart this. Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? I hate this because I helped come up with this poll.
Come
and I
on,
can't
Ryan,
even read
you can
it.
do this.
Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? I've enjoyed reading your comments today on this poll topic, and so there's still plenty of time.
Does that mean
before
like
the end of the show.
dog paws or cat paws? Is that what you're talking
That's
about?
exactly what I mean. PAWS.
Yeah, give you paws
Give me
like
those-
like the ones that eat the dog treats that you enjoy so much.
man.
Like that?
You guys ate dog food.
Yeah, when I was 7.
You ate it.
I was 12. Leave me alone.
I didn't even do it. I just thought I was going to.
Gotta give you paws.
So anyway, this is a political question. Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? P-A-U-S-E.
Oh,
Yes
pause.
or no.
Oh, okay, got it.
Let us know. And of course, this is one where you really can leave a comment as to why, either way. 143, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
The Trump presidency is coming into focus. The updates are happening fast. 97.1 FM Talk. The vision and strategy for 2025 is here. This is The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thanks for joining us today. Of course, Ryan Wiegan's the one. And just like I tell my kids, though, I tease you because I love you.
That's a little weird too, though.
I know, but it's a agape love. You know, we're not talking about other kinds of love.
Call it the
Yeah, before you got into the
love.
Greek, I was like, "This is a little weird," and then you,
okay, we're good.
Yeah,
He loves you like God loves his children.
Thank you.
Exactly. It's an agape love is
Okay.
what it is, and so I can tease you. So, but no, what isn't funny and what I'm not going to tease is Los Angeles, because last week the Los Angeles City Council adopted a sanctuary city ordinance that prohibits the use of city resources in immigration enforcement, including it prohibits Los Angeles from cooperating with federal immigration agents as the incoming Trump administration hints at an immigration crackdown. So, gentlemen in the room here, the topic, and I'm going to add to it here in just a moment, but how should the Trump administration respond to these cities and states? I mean, we saw one of my former law partners has retired and he moved to Martha's Vineyard, and I was teasing him before he moved because of, they had 4 illegal immigrants that were shipped there by plane, and they freaked out because there were 4 illegal immigrants there. But I said, wait, you're a sanctuary area, so what shouldn't you be welcoming them instead of being repulsed by them? How should the Trump administration respond to these blue cities, counties, and states that are now setting themselves up as sanctuary areas?
Well, first of all, if I'm them, I go in regardless. Like, we'll do it with or without you. You don't have to commit resources. But then I look at what sort of resources we are committing to them. Like, what sort of federal resources do those places get?
Yes.
And then I start reeling those back until they comply.
Yeah, and there's nothing legally wrong with that. I mean, that's what the federal government rather has used for decades to enforce speed limits on highways. Because when an interstate goes through a state, it's up to that state to dictate what the speed limit is. But when the feds, starting in the 70s, said, oh, no, we want you to have a lower speed limit in order to save gasoline, and if you don't, we're going to withhold highway funds, then states were literally forced into compliance. Even though it's a state issue, they were forced in compliance by money. Brad Range, you think that would also be an effective strategy
I would
here?
leverage that. That would be my first strike.
Yes.
I would start leveraging the power of the purse. Like, I know Los Angeles doesn't gain enough in taxes to pay for all the things that they do. And so if you start pulling that back, same thing for California. I know California is one of the biggest economies in the world, but they have more money going out than they are bringing in.
Massive debt.
And so I start leveraging that against them. It's like, all right, you don't want to do this? We're not going to give you the money. Gravy train stops.
Got it.
To me, these kind of new problems require creative solutions. I would take a step back from the whole thing and say that I was just recently in Los Angeles, and I can tell you they're doing great. There's almost no crime. There's almost no homelessness.
Wow.
Yeah, I went there.
Utopia.
Yeah, we visited Universal Studios. It was a lot of fun. And I can tell you that the media portrayal of Los Angeles is just way off. We almost never saw completely cracked out people laying on the sidewalk with all of their belongings. That's a joke. We did see some, actually quite a few. We saw a ton of them. But I just can't imagine that being a big problem there. This is a place that, like Brad said, they have so much money. In fact, they have so much money that they haven't updated any of their tourist attractions since like 1985. Because I was shocked to go see the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sunset Boulevard, some of these famous places. We tried to find a Hollywood sign. That's actually much more difficult than it seems because there's all these neighborhoods you got to go through. Everywhere we went, not just those spots, but everywhere we went, it's like L.A. is trapped somewhere between 1950 and 1985. All of their stuff is really cool, but it's almost like becoming a timepiece.
Yeah.
It's weird. because clearly you have a massive amount of people there. You should have a massive amount of revenue. You have tons of tourism. It's a beautiful climate. Every day, every day we woke up, it was cloudy, and then by noon it was sunny and beautiful. Every single day was the same thing. And it was my first time in California. So I'm joking about it, but this is a place that had so much potential, and they have ruined it, just like Chicago. You drove to Chicago now?
Oh.
You drive up Lakeshore Drive, you're like, this is amazing. And there's still a lot of activity and people out, especially if it's a nice day. It's beautiful. And they have destroyed these beautiful, vibrant places by just having crappy policy. And they're doing it again. And I'm not to hit the same point, but I was shocked by how out of date LA was. Almost everywhere, because it was built up so quickly and so beautifully, because some of the architecture is still beautiful, but it's just like old, and it's trapped, and you're like, you guys should be keeping up. You're supposed to be a very wealthy area, and they're just not.
Yeah, they were celebrating the most relevant actress was Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Starring now in Murder, She Wrote.
No, I mean, some of the names on Hollywood Walk of Fame, you're like, I think I recognize some of the Christmas singers, like people that you hear only at Christmas time.
Exactly.
And
that's it.
You know, Loretta Lynn was one of them, but I didn't recognize most of the names.
Well, here's what I would like to see the incoming Trump administration do. I looked this up today, and under 8 USC 1324, that's 8 United States Code 1324, it's a federal statute that talks about bringing in and harboring illegal immigrants, except the statute says illegal aliens. And here's the part that I think is right on. It makes it a felony for any individual, which would include a city council like Los Angeles City Council. It makes it a felony, and I'm reading here, quoting, quote, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection any such alien in any place, including any building or any means of transportation, or encourages or induces an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States in violation of law. So when you look at that statute by the Los Angeles City Council stating, number one, we're a sanctuary city. If you come here, we will not prosecute you. Number one, that's encouraging and harboring aliens to come to Los Angeles. Number two, by stating that we're not going to cooperate with any federal agencies, now you have a criminal conspiracy, which is also covered under this law, where two or more individuals are conspiring together for the purpose of violating federal law. I think it would be easy for a prosecutor, a federal prosecutor, to make the case that the entire city council of Los Angeles could be indicted under federal law simply by passing this statute. Do you think that goes too far?
Wow. No, I don't. Although, man, people are going to scream bloody murder about it if they come. The Trump administration should absolutely use these statutes. They're law. They can use them.
Yes, they've been law for decades. This is not new.
And it's not just, it's the letter of the law. This is the right thing to do. Now, that's debatable, but I'm telling you, it is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So regardless, when you have the moral authority and the legal authority both on your side, you have to act on these things when people are getting out of line, because what the Los Angeles City Council is saying is we are going to hurt our own citizens. We're not just going to try to, quote unquote, help these illegal immigrants. We're going to hurt our own citizens through a variety of ways that we've talked about before, not just economic, but in so many other ways that illegal immigration does not help a citizenry. So the Trump administration has to come after this. Now, they got to be careful because they don't want to start a civil war, but this is the kind of stuff that you elect a very, very hardline administration to do, is exactly that.
Yeah. Well, here's my thought on that, and this is why I would be hesitant to do that. A felony, an indictment, all of that stuff, and then to get it to actually work, you will need a conviction, which means that these people will have a right to a trial by a jury of their peers. And so you've got to go into an area where it seems like most of the people in that area are sympathetic to that cause.
But see, that's where I disagree with you, Mr. Range, and here's why. If you look at that, and I'm sorry I forgot the proposition that just got passed 1st of November by California, rolling back all of the woke policies when it comes to crime.
38.
Theft.
Right,
Yeah.
because of all of the smash and grabs and all the crime. People in California are sick and tired, I think, of being taken advantage of. Because for every illegal immigrant that's welcomed into Los Angeles, that's fewer tax dollars to go for people who are there legitimately. And so I think if you phrased it to a jury that we're not just prosecuting the LA City Council because we're against illegal immigration, we're prosecuting because by reaching out to illegal immigrants, you are literally taking tax dollars that could otherwise be used to help the citizens of Los Angeles. We're giving them now to entice people to come from Mexico. And so it's harming the citizens of Los Angeles. And I think with that argument, that's like the argument of rolling back the woke criminal laws that were passed overwhelmingly, over 75% of the vote in California. I think you can make that argument legitimately even to a Los Angeles jury.
Yeah, if you make that argument, then you would have to think that on the political side of that, you could win running for Los Angeles City Council. Like, if it were that bad, this city council wouldn't have done it because this would be poison to their reelection opportunity.
Well, I say you don't know unless you try. And I don't see any harm in doing that.
When you get into this extreme type of stuff, which is where we are, unfortunately, you have to be very, very, to borrow a phrase from the current administration, clear-eyed about what right and wrong are. Because if you're going to use the power of the law, you have to know that you are right. But this is a situation where they are right.
But you can't lose.
Totally understand. I'm just saying, if you're going to start doing these kinds of things, you have to be sure that you are right.
Well, part of me is more for that than deportation, and I'll tell you why. I know we're coming up on the clock here, but we have this idea of an attractive nuisance. If I have a swimming pool and a kid drowns in my pool, I'm responsible because I made it an attractive nuisance. And by Los Angeles stating that if you come here, we're going to shield you and hide you from the federal government, you are operating as an attractive nuisance to those in Mexico who are trying to flee Mexico for a better life. And the way to stop that is to hold those who are creating the attractive nuisance responsible for their actions and the ramifications of their actions. Brad Young sitting in here on the Manny Fry Show on a Monday afternoon. We'll be right back.
It is the shopping season, and the Diamond Shop is celebrating Small Business Saturday, November 30th. Make sure that when you are doing all of your shopping, that you give the Diamond Shop the ability to show you some of the most beautiful pieces that they have right now with an extra 10% off all in-stock items. Yes, this goes on top of the 40% off all in-stock jewelry that runs through Christmas Eve. Make sure that on Small Business Saturday, after you've done the Black Friday stuff, probably doing that right now online anyway, make sure you go shop at a small business, one that is St. Louis, family-owned and operated, that's been here. It's an institution since 1910 in St. Louis. Tom, Mona, Nikki, the staff there, they're wonderful people, and they have the piece that you're looking for in the budget that you've targeted. They will work with you. They have great opportunities with financing as well. The Diamond Shop, located in Clayton, celebrates Small Business Saturday with them online at thediamondshop.net.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Are Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
May be coming for the president-elect. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Federal prosecutors just moving to dismiss criminal charges against President-elect Trump, who was accused of plotting to overturn the 2020 election. Special counsel Jack Smith is also expected to step down in the coming weeks.
They're going to close up the special counsel office, and this case will not go to trial. So while it was expected, it's certainly a big deal to see that special counsel Jack Smith, who's been a thorn in the side of Donald Trump for over 2 years, is officially asking a judge to drop his case.
Fox's David Spunt. Smith is also giving up on his appeal of a judge's decision to toss out the Trump classified documents case. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance just posting that the prosecutions were always political and that now it's time to, quote, ensure what happened to President Trump never happens in this country again. Smith had denied any political motivation. The State Department says the U.S. is pushing as hard as it can to get a diplomatic resolution in Lebanon, where Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah are fighting. There have been signs of a breakthrough, with a senior Israeli official saying Israel's cabinet was planning to have a ceasefire meeting tomorrow. U.S. officials cautioning there is no agreement yet. Millions of Americans are on the move or about to be, but wintry weather could make Thanksgiving travel more difficult.
On Tuesday and Wednesday, some areas of the Great Lakes region could see rain and snow, and there's also a chance of light snow in parts of the Central Plains and Middle Mississippi River Valley midweek. Forecasters say the East Coast will be the most impacted on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade could be a wet one this year, with potential rain for New York City.
Fox's Tony J. Powers. For the western U.S., rain along the coast, several feet of snow possible for higher elevations. AAA expects nearly 80 million people will travel at least 50 miles from home between tomorrow and next Monday. America is listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
The chill in the air continues thanks to a cold front. Our temperatures going down to about 44 by sunset, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Slow clearing tonight, a cold 27. Tuesday, sunny and cold 43. Wednesday, the clouds are back. Some showers developing Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday night is wet with periods of rain, even some wet snow mixing in 35. Thanksgiving Day is cloudy but dry. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Your child or grandchild is in school, right? And you worry about them. There's so much stuff going on in the world. You want something better for them. Maybe it's semester this year. You finally pull the trigger and you do what's absolutely best for them, and you consider a Lutheran education. That research project for you can start right now very simply by going to lesastl.org/Annie. That's Lisa with an E. lisastl.org/Annie. And I'm here to tell you, it's affordable. You haven't even thought about it. You didn't even want to think about it because you didn't want to look at something that you didn't think that you could have. You can have this for your child. You can afford this. You just have to start the conversation and learn about Lutheran education with 37 elementary schools in the St. Louis metro area, Missouri and Illinois combined. It's out there and it's for you. Grandparents, think about what you could provide for your grandchild. Talk to your children about it and get the process started. Look them up online at lisastl.org/Annie. lisastl.org/Annie.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code RADIO for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. That's promo code RADIO.
97.1 is proud to be the first station to ever broadcast Guns N' Hoses this year. It's this Wednesday at Enterprise Center. If you can't make the event, listen live to our broadcast right here that night.
Sponsored by TR Hughes Homes and Golden Oak Lending.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in today with, of course, as always, Ryan Wiggins and Brad Range. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We into our last hour. I don't know where the first 2 hours went, but we had a lot of fun, and we covered a lot of material. Before we dive into some more meaty material regarding Special Counsel Jack Smith is now seeking to dismiss the January 6 charges against President Trump, there was something interesting. We heard last week that Comcast, because their ratings are in the toilet, is now going to apparently be having a fire sale. And there was an interesting proposal being thrown out there about MSNBC.
Over the weekend, for example, Musk is joking, I think, about maybe trying to buy MSNBC. It seems he's just trying to troll. Comcast is not making MSNBC up for sale right now. Maybe something will change in a few years. But those tweets, those posts from Musk, those memes that he's posting, it just speaks to his power and his center of power throughout this incoming administration.
Well, the last time I checked, which was about 2 weeks ago, Musk's net worth was somewhere north of $350 billion. What I've seen reported is that MSNBC could be purchased for as little as $4 billion. So for Musk, number one, That's what we call beer money, okay?
Yeah, no kidding.
Number two, think about this. He could buy MSNBC and turn it into a news network.
Okay.
Well, hold on, though. But he could get MSNBC for a tenth of the price that he paid for Twitter.
If he does, let's say theoretically he's actually interested, because he's definitely poking the bear here.
Yeah.
He and many others, I think Don Jr. was out there going, hey, man, you looking at this? You going to buy it? And he's like, I don't know how much it costs. But because I saw the same thing this weekend. Let's say he does buy it, because clearly that's on the table. That if MSNBC, if Comcast says, I could get money for this, yes, I will take money, they'll do it.
Yes.
And let's say he has that kind of money, liquid money, not just net worth money, but he could do it. What do you think he should do with MSNBC if he buys it? Because everybody will know that it happened. It's not as if you could just kind of silently move it to the right or move it back to the center even.
Like I said, first and foremost, I think he should turn it into a news network.
But
because it's not right now.
Wouldn't you be interested to see the part where he just goes, I'm just not going to touch this for a second? Because that's what I think he would do, or he should do, is just go, we're just going to leave this alone for a minute. Just see what happens.
Yeah, good point.
What do the anchors do? Because they're not going to want to leave. And if they do, good for them. That means they were so principled that they, at the mere sight of a new boss, they said, I'm going to leave now. I can't do this, which they won't do.
But keep in mind, we know in the morning show that Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, that when they were enormously critical of Trump for the last 8 years, when they weren't trying to flirt with each other, when they were both married to somebody else. So whenever that happened, they were very hypercritical of Trump. And then last week, they went down to I think it was a week and a half ago, they went down to Mar-a-Lago, met with Trump, both of them did. And when they came back and mentioned on the air, the ratings all of a sudden dropped because people, the MSNBC, they reach out to that progressive crowd, and the progressive crowd didn't even want to watch the show because the two of them met with President Trump. So if they're going to flee at someone just meeting President Trump, what would their ratings do if Musk left it all by itself as it is? I mean, the ratings would crater on that part alone.
Well, for a little bit, maybe a week or two, they could get some voyeuristic views of people just going, what are they saying? What are they going to do? Because I almost think he should have done this with Twitter, although he's clearly made Twitter successful. People are talking about how it's actually more engagement now than there used to be. I don't know about money, but I do know about engagement. But I would like to see them sort of subtly shift this thing. I don't think he should go in and blow it up and create Fox News #2 or something like that. No. I would like to see him just behind the scenes. Okay, maybe we just have a new news director who just focuses on news. That's it. And maybe just that. And just see what happens.
I think what he should do with it, say he buys it, I think what you do with it is you follow the Fox model in the sense that you've got shows that are news shows, and then in the evening you got shows that are opinion shows. And really, if I know Elon Musk, because I don't know how much your X feed has changed since he took over, but I see as many liberals in my main page, my For You page, as I do conservatives. It's a lot more balanced of a feed, and I see a lot of liberals complaining about that, and the reason they're complaining about that is when you're used to preferential treatment, equal treatment looks like oppression.
Sure.
So they're seeing more conservatives. It's like, listen, the flip side is happening to me. I'm seeing yours, and I'm a conservative. So I think what he does then is in those evening shows, you do that mix. You get that balance in there. You can have a Rachel Maddow alongside of I don't know, Joe Rogan. You put a Joe Rogan type person on there or something like that. You'll have a conservative and you'll also have a liberal, and you just let it do its thing. And those people that are going to run, they're going to run as soon as he buys it. The liberals are going to bail as soon as he buys it. There will be voyeuristic watching. People will come in to watch the MSNBC meltdown, if he just leaves it alone, and you'll get a bunch of eyes on it like that. But that's not going to be lasting power.
I want to float an alternative idea, because let's assume something here for this discussion. Let's assume, for purposes of this discussion, that Comcast wants $5 billion for MSNBC. What would happen if Musk did this? Had his team of lawyers go in and sign a revocable memorandum of understanding to purchase MSNBC for $5 billion. Revocable is the key part because you don't want to be bound as a contract. But you enter into this memorandum of understanding saying, I would like to talk to you about buying MSNBC, and then leak that information to the press. Once that happens, then all of the progressives that are watching MSNBC now would flee in droves. You revoke the memorandum of understanding after a month of letting it get a lot of press. And then when MSNBC has literally, because I've often said for years that MSNBC is used by the Witness Protection Program because if you put somebody on the air at MSNBC, they're never going to be found, right? But if you leak out a memorandum of understanding, an MOU that says Musk's going to buy it, everybody flees. Their viewership craters. Now you pick up what was going to cost $5 billion. You pick it up for a song because they've got no advertisers, no viewers, no eyeballs, and then you can further increase your ability to make money on it by purchasing it for a fraction of the price.
Wouldn't a memorandum of understanding be ex post facto, though? I mean, I hate to get really legal on this.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But when I heard you say that, I was like, kind of red flag.
And what does ex post facto, Mr. Ryan Wiggins, Esquire, what does ex post facto even mean?
After the fact.
Okay. And how on earth would that apply to this situation?
Well, I don't want to get it. This would get boring if we got too deep into it. But it was just something that I felt like, as a legal mind, somebody out there's thinking I was like, I better say it.
Brad Range, he's going to say e pluribus unum any minute now, right?
He's going through his folder of Latins. Like, what did I learn here?
I mean, look, let's just put that aside for a second. E equals MC squared.
Yeah. Modus operandi.
Modus operandi. And by the power of the scriptures, sola scriptura. But I don't even know if that's Latin.
I don't think it is. Well, I got to tell you, there's a friend of mine who's a plaintiff's attorney who sent on her email. I'm not going to drop her name, but I got a lot of cases with her, and she has some Latin phrase in her signature block that means something to the effect of "fight and don't let them wear you down." It's a Latin phrase, and it always bugs me. So when I responded to her this week, and there was like 5 different attorneys on this email chain last week, rather on Friday. I responded. I went and I found a Latin phrase, and I put it in my signature block just to see if anybody would pick it up. And the Latin phrase was, it was real long, and I wish I had it in front of me. I'd read it, but it means employees must wash their hands after using the restroom. And I put it in there just to see if someone would pick up on it. And everybody did. They were like, "Oh, what? Brad's putting Latin in his signature block now." Yeah, it just means employees have to wash their hands after using the restroom.
I thought it sounded cool.
I got a tattoo on my lower back that I was told when I got it, it meant "don't mess with me," like MMA fighter kind of like font.
Yeah, sure.
It says "non manducare canum cibum." And,
no idea.
But then when I looked it up in one of those apps that you can kind of like do in the mirror and it'll show you, it'll translate for you, it means in Latin, "non manducare canum cibum." Means won't eat dog food. Isn't that craziest thing?
Well, then why on earth would you put a tattoo when it violates what you're actually doing, which is eating dog food?
No, I didn't. I would put it in my mouth, spit it right back out.
Oh.
It's an MO.
He's like,
it's a modus
I chewed,
operandi.
But I didn't swallow it.
Right. Is
well,
modus
there's
operandi.
a Bill Clinton answer.
Exactly.
I didn't inhale.
And since we're talking legally, is modus operandi Latin?
Yes. In fact, it is.
Yes.
Yes, that was mine.
He's going to go with e pluribus unum next. Then he's going to
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, in total, I think that your reasoning for Elon Musk buying MSNBC is just a little shaky.
Okay. Well, I think
from
it's
one
a good
legal
idea.
mind to another.
Oh, yeah, sure. From one legal mind to another. Speaking of legal minds, Jack Smith. breaking news today that Jack Smith has announced that he is filing a dismissal of the January 6th charges against President Trump in Washington, D.C. So, but what I want to use that, because I think that speaks for itself, but the question becomes, when you look at the New York case with Judge Merchan, he is still taking it under advisement. The Alvin Bragg administration there in New York has said they want him to delay prosecution until 2029. And right now, Judge Merchan has said there was a November 26th sentencing date. That's been pulled, but Merchan has said he will make a decision before Trump takes office. How should Judge Merchan proceed with regard to those 34 felony counts that Trump was convicted on under New York law?
So just for clarification, really, he's going to clarify that he's going to rule on it soon, or he's going to clarify that he still could delay it till 2029?
Yeah, he hasn't made a decision yet.
He's just saying, I don't know.
He's saying right now, I'm thinking about it.
Okay, so he's not saying anything about anything. He's just saying it's all still up in the air.
Judge Merchan asked Alvin Bragg to brief this issue about what the judge should do, because it is a unique circumstance.
I'll say.
Never in the history of American politics has this come up. So he asked Bragg what they should do. He also asked the Trump team. They said dismiss the charges because of the Supreme Court's decision about presidential immunity, combined with the fact that you, under federal and state law, you can't maintain an ongoing criminal action against a sitting president. When you put those two issues together, or two rules together, how should Merchan proceed? And Bragg said delay it until 2029 and then proceed with the prosecution. So the issue is, how should Judge Merchan proceed with that issue?
Gosh, there are so many, because exactly what you said. Here's why I don't think anything's going to happen to Trump. I don't think they're going to come back in 2029 and prosecute him, although they could, if they say, yeah, we'll maybe do that. It could happen. But the reason I think this is such an important case still is exactly what you said. The precedent that it's setting for all future lawfare that you could use against your political enemies.
Anyone.
Or anybody for that. And political enemies, not just being people in office, but political enemies of any stripe. So this is still a very important case, in my opinion, because of the ramifications of what it's setting for the future.
Yes.
But I don't know what that means. I'm observing it with intense scrutiny and interest, but I don't really know what I'm looking for, which is why I like talking to people like you, and we're going to talk to Hans von Spakovsky on Wednesday probably about that issue. Is what should we want out of this?
Well, here, let me identify, and you can certainly bring this up with Hans, but here's my biggest concern, taking politics out of it, is the following. Procedurally, you cannot appeal a decision until there is a final judgment. Final judgment doesn't occur until there is sentencing. So therefore, right now, if the sentencing is delayed until 2029, the question becomes, is that yes or no a final judgment? If it's not, which I don't think it would be,
right?
Because you can't have the final judgment until that sentencing occurs, and if it's put off for 4 years, you're delaying it. You're then robbing President Trump of the ability to file an appeal. Now, that decision, that case for Judge Merchan was one of the most error-filled cases, civil or criminal, I've ever seen, heard about, or read about in my career. It was error-filled from the beginning to the end, not the least of which it was error-filled because it attempted to create a zombie statute, because we all know there are statute limitations. And the federal statute that said this is a crime by not reporting these funds that were paid to Stormy Daniels, the statute limitations expired because the Obama administration chose not to prosecute Trump for that. So the statute had expired, and yet under the state law of New York, they in essence resurrected in a zombie-like fashion as a federal criminal law that had already expired under the statute of limitations. That type of bootstrapping has never been done anywhere in the history of this country. So we don't know how that would work on appeal. Furthermore, allowing Stormy Daniels to testify in of itself was irrelevant to the entire proceeding. What she said had nothing to do with the fact that she was paid, and Trump had agreed and stipulated that she was paid the money. So her testimony was wholly irrelevant. And in the Harvey Weinstein cases, even the state of New York earlier this year reversed multiple convictions against Harvey Weinstein because the judge let in repetitive, cumulative, and embarrassing evidence that wasn't relevant. Well, that's exactly what Stormy Daniels was. So when you put all that in a blender, here's the point I'm trying to make. By delaying the sentencing, you're robbing President Trump of the right to appeal a decision against him. And you want to talk about denying a person's due process rights? Now you're saying, we're not going to allow you to appeal a decision that any first-year law student can figure out should be reversed. But you're delaying that. So you're giving the impression of guilt on 34 felony counts for an additional 4 years when anyone else in this country could challenge that on appeal and have those convictions overturned.
Isn't that itself a dangerous precedent to set?
Yes.
Because you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's never been done.
No.
Where somebody is just waiting for sentencing indefinitely. That you can't do that.
That to me is a crime because you're preventing someone from saying, I have the legal right to challenge that conviction. And by denying that for 4 years, you're robbing me, you're denying me with unjust cause the right to have this conviction against me overturned. That in of itself should be a crime.
So they're creating a new type of lawfare if they do it.
Yes.
That you could do this to other people then who aren't the president of the United States and say, yeah, we're just going to hold this right here and in this kind of
in abeyance,
neither way state and just hold it because now we can kind of do whatever we want to you while you wait for no appeal.
I mean, if you stop and you think about that, you still have to have your legal team on standby ready to go to appeal should the conviction come down, and then you're ready to proceed with the appeal. And if you are not a person of means, that puts an undue financial burden on you. You're just sitting there waiting for whatever to happen. In the same ilk, whenever you're talking about a political enemy, what is the thing that they wanted out of this, and what is the thing that they championed out of this? They called Donald Trump a convicted felon. Now, I know when you look at the law, he's not a convicted felon until the sentencing is put in there.
And the appeals are out.
But that doesn't stop people from calling him that. So you can just absolutely besmirch somebody's reputation by doing this because you know this case will get overturned.
Right. So I would like Judge Merchan to wrap this up here. I would like Judge Merchan to do two things in this order. Number one, dismiss the charges because the evidence that was used against Donald Trump in the criminal case was gained in part based upon things that he did and discussed as president, covered by the immunity decision from the Supreme Court last summer, therefore is invalid and should be overturned. Secondly, if Merchan won't do that for whatever reason, political, legal, whatever, if he refuses to dismiss the charges, then I think Merchan should sentence Donald Trump to 4 years of community service as president of the United States and say that that's community service and that's going to fulfill it. And then once that sentence is given, Trump can appeal that up to the Court of Appeals and then have all 34 of those convictions overturned on appeal. That's what should happen. If anything other than those two things happen, then we know that it's wholly and exclusively a political decision to continue to tar and feather Donald Trump. Hey, we got to take a break here. We're going to be back with more analysis, more news of the day, more fun and frivolity as you have come to expect from the Annie Fry Show. Brad Young sitting in, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Shopping for a car this holiday season? Make sure you give Cassens & Sons, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Wagoneer the chance to earn your business this holiday season. They have wonderful deals on great vehicles all year round, but this time of year is absolutely no different. If you are in the market for a very specific car, or if you've just found yourself needing to shop for a vehicle and you need some guidance, but you need to go to people you can trust, I implore you to give Cassins the opportunity to work hard to earn your business. 618-800-2712. 618-800-2712. When others can't, Cassins can, and they will. I have purchased 2 vehicles here recently. Our current drivers, my husband's and mine, both from Cassins. And the service that you get from the process of going through and buying a vehicle, the maintenance afterwards, the warranties that are offered, and everything. The whole picture, Cassins knows exactly what they're doing. It's why I'm a repeat buyer, and I encourage you to go check them out as well. In Glen Carbon, Illinois, CassinsCan.com.
Get into the holiday spirit and listen to The Christmas Station, 102.5 KEZK, for all the sounds of the season, from Mariah to the holiday classics.
It's the most.
Plus, keep rocking around the Christmas tree no matter where you are with 102.5 KEZK on the free Odyssey app. Turning your home into a winter wonderland? Ask your smart speaker to play 102.5 KEZK. Enjoy the holiday season your way on the radio, on your smart speaker, and on the free Odyssey app.
I've been hearing so long about government mandates all these years. It's coming true unless something changes this year yet. Then maybe it could be stopped. If not, homeowners, if you need an air conditioner, if your air conditioner is old now, get the equipment that you can still get before they say you can't have it. Not to scare you, they scared you. I'm just saying, the equipment we have right now, unbelievably better than what you have because your equipment's 15 or 20 or 30 or 40 years old. So if you're looking and if your system's that old or if people are saying it's old and you new, I'm not going to waste your time. But if you call me, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois, the easiest of numbers. All right. So it's not the easiest. I have forgotten the number, even as many times as I put it up. But 314-293-2600 or go to the internet, bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
At Neovitin, we are all about supporting your nutrition, and that's why we are excited about our new Neovitin Omega-3 supplement. Neovitin Omega-3 is formulated with 1,200 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids to help support healthy hearts. Our high-quality omega-3 fish oils are sourced from wild-caught fish and tested for heavy metals. With our convenient monthly subscription, you can get Neovitin Omega-3 delivered right to your door every month with no long-term obligations. Support your daily nutrition and sign up for a Neovitin Omega-3 subscription at neovitin.com today.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Odyssey.com is a universe of audio, and it's where you can download the app to stream 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it today and stream anytime from anywhere.
Where St. Louis comes to talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
I've been grinding so long, been trying it for years. And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been setting up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Hey guys, I want to see if you caught this story. We were talking about Chicago earlier in the segment, right? And obviously, a fabulously, he's so well loved by the people of Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. And of course, I'm being facetious when I say that. He has proposed an increase of 35% of taxes, wholesale taxes, mind you, on the cost of beer and liquor in the city of Chicago.
What's the percent again?
35%.
Wow.
And this is the wholesale tax. So when you go to Chicago, and if you go and have an adult beverage, you're actually being taxed twice on that adult beverage. Number one, the wholesaler is being taxed when they buy it. And then when the retailer sells it, they're taxing the consumer. So that's why if you get a drink in Chicago, it's outrageously expensive because it's being double taxed. Now, though, even though it's already double taxed, Brandon Johnson wants to increase it by 35%. This is what Mayor Johnson said, quote, "Our budget reflects the commitment to invest in our people and neighborhoods, ensuring that every Chicagoan has the opportunity to thrive," unquote. Well, first of all, I don't even know what that means. That's like a word salad. It sounds nice.
It sounds very nice.
But it doesn't mean anything. Secondly, if you compare it, like, for example, the wholesale, we're just talking wholesale. The wholesale tax on a gallon of distilled spirits in Illinois is currently over $8, but in Chicago, it's $14. And in comparison, in Wisconsin, it's $3, and it's less than $3 in Indiana. So you would think if you were living in Chicago, wouldn't by definition you feel the need to drink more? And so this would be a triple taxation, because if you're living under Mayor Johnson, you're going to want to start consuming more adult beverages, not less.
It's just unfortunate as an Illinois resident, not that that Chicago tax would directly affect us, but these are small businesses that affects.
It kind of reveals the mindset.
Yeah, and whether you're serving hard alcohol or just you're serving beers, that kind of stuff, it just kills you. And everything that Illinois does as a state, let alone what then the city's going to put on top of that, it just kills people from wanting to invest and open businesses. And restaurants are one of the main small businesses that people open. They're hard to keep open. That's why you see so many of them come and go.
They're very hard.
And when you're in a place like Chicago, you hear these kinds of things and you go, I'm not going to invest in making an already difficult to achieve business anyway into Chicago or into Illinois at large, because the taxes, like you just said with neighboring states, it's so much higher to just come in and try to do a very basic business.
I look at this and I'm like, what is it that he needs the extra money for? Because this follows up on a $300 million increase on property taxes in Chicago that, his own city council or whatever voted 50-0 to strike down. No, we're not doing that. What does he want to use all this money for? And whenever you read something like that lovely word salad that you read, it's a whole lot of nothing. He won't tell you what he's going to spend it on. And I said this to you off air, Brad, but he was a member. He was a Chicago teacher. He was a member of the Chicago Teachers Union. He got elected based largely on the amount of funds that they invested in him. And I can't confirm this, so this is speculation, but I cannot help but think that he's going to try to redirect all these tax funds back into that teachers union, kind of a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation. And the problem with the Chicago Teachers Union is they don't need that much money. They don't, and they're just begging for it more. I think they're already talking about a strike.
Well, I will tell you that your disclaimer there, that was a View-worthy legal disclaimer right there. That could have been done on The View.
Well, if you do it up front, then you don't have to go back and, Brad, would you like to do a legal note?
But here's what gets me. Years ago, I represented TLBUA. And when I was representing them, doing legal work for them, I had to go over to Kansas City quite a bit because their main management was in Kansas City, even though their largest hub was in St. Louis.
TWA is Trans, right?
Trans World Airlines.
Yep.
No longer, they bought out by American Airlines. So when I went over there, I'd get on a flight, and there'd be like 10 people on a 737. I would be one of them. And I'd have a whole row to myself. I'd have a whole section to myself because nobody was on the flight. Because it was $600 to fly to Kansas City. Then, and that was, they were losing money right and left on that. Then Southwest Airlines comes in. They priced them at $99 from St. Louis to Kansas City. TWA had to meet that price, $99. Then when I went to Kansas City, the plane was packed. And I was asking the people, because for $99, people were saying, hey, let's go to Kansas City. And Kansas City was saying, hey, let's come to St. Louis. And so when I talked to the management at TWA, they said, by dropping the price from $500 or $600 a ticket to $99, that flight route from Kansas City to St. Louis went from being their most money-losing flight in the country to their most profitable by lowering the price to $99. So what do we learn from that? That by lowering the price, you encourage more people to consume the goods and services, thereby increasing the opportunity to collect a tax because of the massive increase of the use of those goods or services. If you look at Chicago, by raising the taxes on the drinks, you're going to, Ryan, like you said, there's going to be fewer companies that can afford a liquor license. There's going to be fewer companies selling drinks, fewer mom and pop operations that can sell wine or drinks of beer or whatever. And so by doing that, by raising the tax, they're actually going to decrease the amount of money collected, thereby hurting their own constituents. The way to do this would be to drop the tax and say, come to Chicago. We make you want to drink. That should be their that should be their phrase, right?
Yeah, it's the whole
and
state.
make fun of it.
Yeah.
Make fun of it, right? People come there, drop the tax, and then because you would incredibly increase the amount of product sold, it would therefore create an actual increase in net revenue that would then benefit your citizens. But nobody thinks that way.
Well,
certainly not the left.
Conservative states do think that way.
Yes, they do.
How do we get rid of as much regulation as possible? How do we get the government out of your way?
How do we get businesses here?
How do we get people to move
No
here?
income tax.
Right.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
but the progressives in particular and liberals in general can't understand simple economics 101, and to me it's baffling. Brandon, if you want to help, and there's a reason why I think his name is Brandon. Brandon, if you want to help the citizens of Chicago, reduce the tax. Don't increase it. But liberal has never seen a tax that they want to cut. Never. Hey, we got to take another break here because we went long on the prior segment. Stick around. We've got the final segment coming up here, and we're going to continue this discussion of Illinois coming up next on the Annie Fry Show. Stick around.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Oh man, my job is easy when I talk about Andrea's steak sauce. Just last night, it's this easy. We were making hamburgers and we packed them with Andrea's sauce. They're a great binder for burgers. So if you're accustomed to using, cheeses and things like that, that's fine. But include Andrea's in that. And not only are you going to have a great binder for your burgers, so they're not going to fall apart either on the grill or whether you're cooking them inside like we did last night because it's getting cold. But you also are going to make the taste of that burger fantastic. You know how I know? This is why I said my job is easy. Because last night, there was one burger that apparently we forgot to put the Andreas in. And that burger came out not only looking different, but nobody wanted it. we had a bunch of burgers out on a plate. All the kids were like, ooh, I want this one, this one, this one. And that last burger was sitting there and like, who's going to eat the last one? Get Andrea's sauce. It makes everything you cook, especially your meats, so much better. And it's so easy to use. You don't have a lot of prep time you have to use it on, but it makes the meal just top notch out of a regular meal. Get Andrea's sauce at Schnucks, at Deerberg's, other great stores, in the area, or at Andreas.com.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. To help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Honey, bags are packed and in the trunk. Is the car good to drive to Mother's holiday dinner?
Yes, dear. Car's good. We have Ox Car Care for their extended car service plan. Ox covers our repair bills if anything happens. We have no worries if any problems come up on our holiday travels. Ox Car Care has our back.
I remember. Ox has flexible coverage plans that can protect issues with engine, transmission, brake systems, and so much more.
Yep, we don't pay. Ox pays. Ox gets it fixed for us. Joe at the auto shop says Ox Car Care pays them directly, and there's no complicated paperwork. Ox is A+ rated, with already millions of dollars paid out in claims.
Right. They handled our claim from start to finish, unlike those other companies. Good call. The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill this holiday. The only thing now is, which pie is Aunt Martha making?
Drive with absolute peace of mind this holiday season. Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-296-3315. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox today. 800-296-3315. 800-296-3315 or oxcarcare.com.
Police officers and firefighters get in the ring for the 37th Budweiser Guns and Hoses presented by Stiefel. It's the night before Thanksgiving at the Enterprise Center. Get your tickets now at stlgunsandhoses.com.
We have not answered this poll yet. We're about to. Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? Yes or no? That's today's YouTube live chat poll. You find it by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube, and you can participate with us. 2:43, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Hey, it's Mike Elam for Mark Reardon today. Big show. Chad Perkins is joining us, Kurt Barr, and our own Mark Cox. It all starts today at 3.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel all right.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
You gotta find your people, the ones that make you feel whole. They won't leave your side when you lose control. The ones that don't let you lose your soul.
Hey, we're rolling into the last segment here on the Annie Fry Show. And during the break, though, Mr. Wiggins, you mentioned you've got an announcement.
Well, yeah, I've got a book coming out tomorrow, but
that's great.
The announcment, that's not what I was talking about, though.
He fooled you.
Bait and switch. It's called The Grocery List. I'm doing a sleep study tonight. And I just found out right before the show, they called me. They're like, can you come in tonight? I'm like, man, that's super short notice, but yeah, I can. So I've never done this before. I've had one of those mouth guards for a long time.
Yep.
And I talked about my dentist, Dr. Ty Parker, and how he fits you with these things. Well, I've been fine with that forever, and I probably still will be, but I just want to have a backup CPAP just in case it ever gets to the point where I'm like, man, the mouth guard's not working anymore, because mouth guard's usually for milder sleep apnea, and the CPAP's for more extreme. And I'm probably still in the mild, but I want to get ahead of it. And they just called me, and I'm like, oh, man, what is this going to be like? Because I'm hosting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And me and Brad.
This will be fun.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, do you get sleep in these things?
Well,
or
I had to do it. I've got sleep apnea. I've got bad sleep apnea. So I use a CPAP. But whenever I did the sleep study, somebody asked me the next day, what was it like? And I said, well, it's like sleeping in a Russian motel room where you know you're being videoed. So,
and that's the part of the conversation that I walked in on. I didn't hear anything else, so I was very like, what are we talking about right now?
Because they showed me the video afterwards, and it's also you're mic'd, so it's mic'd and videoed, and you're sleeping in this nondescript room. So it's very much like a motel room. Except, I know I'm being videoed and the mic is on.
What if you have, like, real bad gas or something?
Well, then I guess that up. Then I guess the doctor. Then, you know what? Then
I mean,
the doctor's going to prescribe sleep assistance on one end and a cork in the other. That's what?
No, is there really a doctor sitting there watching you the whole time?
Nobody's watching you. They just record it and then watch it later.
Oh, really?
So there's nobody standing there watching you.
Can you imagine do they hook you up to like different things to monitor?
Yeah, correct. You have to. You'll be wearing.
Open up the trap doors.
There's like a loudspeaker in there when you fart. It's like someone just goes.
Everybody
starts laughing.
Ha 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 ha.
And you'll also be wearing.
I don't know why the doctor's German, but he is.
It's all good Russian. Doctors are German.
Make up your mind.
Yeah. Evil doctors are always German or Russian. So you'll also have a heart monitor that you'll be wearing, which is about the size of like a coaster. They'll just go on your chest, and then that's it.
Huh? So can you use it as a coaster?
It would be an expensive coaster. It would also be oblong and kind of round, and so
lay there with a drink on your chest. Well, at least it's not going to leave a ring.
Well,
on your chest.
Yeah. So
again, you can tell Ethan's never been fat.
It gets back to the Russian motel analogy about drinks, I guess. But no, so that'll be it, and then it'll just test how you're sleeping.
So apparently, I got to go in there at like 8:00 tonight, and then I hope there's something to do. Hopefully I can bring a laptop or something.
No, you sit and you stare at stealing.
You will go to sleep. Do it now.
He's Russian.
I know. But I got to wake up in the morning and come directly here to do my Mark Cox morning show hit. So, and then I'm here for the rest of the day doing hosting.
You're gonna like shower at least, right?
I don't know.
Bring some clothes. And
Hey,
go
I was
upstairs.
gonna say, there's one upstairs.
I'm
in
glad I'm not
locker
going to be
room.
here tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm stuck in the room with him.
Yeah.
Sealed too.
Ugh.
So that's happening tonight, and I have no idea what to expect. I was picturing more of a lab, but you describe it like it's just a hotel room.
No, it's just a nondescript room, and there's a bed and sheets and then you sleep. But then they showed me the video when I came back in for my consultation, and I was like, wow, I'm glad my wife didn't visit me or something. You know, I mean, it was kind of creepy to see that. It's like you've seen in a James Bond movie where they've got the video of the room.
As long as they tell me where the camera is, I'll play to it the whole night.
Exactly. Right. In the middle of the night, he's standing in the corner, staring at the corner.
Like, oh yeah, I'll wear one of those long wigs, like from The Ring, and I'll just stand in the corner, I'll shake the whole night.
Ryan, why are you popping your butt out at the camera, Ryan? What are you doing?
The actor's like, why did you wear a long wig? I don't know. Just
Because
thought
my name is Wiegan.
Thought you'd get a kick out of it.
For the lulz.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't have anywhere else to go.
Good luck with that,
Brad.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know how we come back from that.
I don't
Now
either.
that-
I don't know.
I'm the king of
Today's YouTube
transition.
live chat poll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Today's YouTube live chat poll. What are the results of that, Ryan?
Actually, Ethan reads the
Ethan's
results.
got it.
But
The results are with Ethan.
There you go.
But we haven't given our opinions on it yet.
What do you think, Ryan?
They have given me pause, but I've kind of researched it and got through it. So I'm still kind of a no on this overall, because once I've looked into these people, the Surgeon General was a little bit weird, but I was talking to Mark Cox this morning, and he's like, look, the Surgeon General doesn't really do that much. And if the head of the Health and Human Services is RFK, then the Surgeon General is not just going to act independently of whoever's in charge of it. So I'm not really that worried about it.
The only one that gave me any pause was Matt Gaetz, because when I first heard his name, I was kind of like, what? But he has since stepped down, and I'm very confident in all the other picks, so I'm a no on this one.
I am very excited that Matt Gaetz stepped down for consideration, because I had concerns with him, and the new pick to replace him at AG is Pam Bondi, and I think she is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any problems there, but I do have a concern with the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, not because of some alleged connection to Syria or being a Russian agent. I don't believe any of that. But my concern is this. Usually the Director of National Intelligence has a national security background, and she does not. And she served in the military, but that in of itself is not a background that I would like to see in the DNI. So do I have problems that she would somehow use it to convey information to the Russians? Not at all. I don't have any concerns about that. But I do think that in order to effectively manage the national intelligence apparatus, which is sprawling, it's immense, that simply having a background in the military and a brief stint in Congress, and she didn't serve on any committees that were intelligent-oriented, which anyone could say nothing in Congress is intelligent-oriented, right? But having said that, I just don't think she has the background for the job. I don't have a problem with her, but she doesn't have the background for the job.
Wouldn't that same criticism apply to Pete Hegseth?
Somewhat. Now, he does have, obviously he has a history in the military, and he served in the military, but I think his involvement with military service since he got out was something, but Tulsa or Gabbard doesn't have any relationship or involvement in any intelligence services. So I think that is not as detrimental to Hegseth as it would be to Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, I think that what you're pointing out there, I think that might be one of the things that makes her such an attractive option to the Trump administration, because she isn't affected by that. She's not quote unquote part of the club. And if they're looking to go in and change the club and break the cycle, they see somebody as an outsider going in might be a good one.
I think that's exactly why that they picked her. That, though, to me has some concern. It really does. Does that? And when you look at the fact that how was it? 72 supposed national security experts certified that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian propaganda, which we know now it was not. The FBI certified in Hunter Biden's trial that it was not propaganda and that it was his. And you look at those 72 and you say, these people are politically motivated. So I see your point, Mr. Range, that you really want someone that's not tainted by that. But finding those in the national intelligence community that are tainted is only part of the job of the director. The other part is to manage and oversee a global intelligence operation, which I think could be somewhat hampered by having no experience.
Is there somewhere else you would have preferred her be on the cabinet where you think she could have been more effective, or just not in the cabinet at all?
No, I would be happy with her in the cabinet somewhere else, just not in charge of our national security apparatus, because that's critical.
One area we haven't talked about is the IRS. What's going to happen at the IRS? And I tell you what, the couple of guys who came out and were whistleblowers against the Bidens, I'd say put those guys in charge, because they were willing to go against it in the midst of it.
Yes.
And they're not even Republicans. I don't even care. They were people who just said, look, this is wrong. The way the current leadership is running this thing is wrong. It's favoritism. It's government cronyism. And we want no part of it.
Yeah.
Put those guys in charge of it.
Yeah, we need someone in there who knows, particularly in the IRS, who knows that we can't use politics as a basis for tax policy. I mean, we famously under the Obama administration, if you registered a corporation and not-for-profit and had the word patriot in the name, you were automatically flagged for an audit. Automatically flagged for an audit.
Yeah.
Okay? That's wrong. And it would be just as wrong as if you had, just because an organization has Black Lives Matter in the name, we're going to do a tax audit. That would be equally wrong. We don't want the IRS to be politicized one way or the other. But in order to get to that goal, we have to root out those within the IRS who do have a political axe to grind.
However, the Black Lives Matter organizations were misusing money almost all the time.
That's
so
true.
That, is an issue.
And they should be investigated and prosecuted by the Department of Justice, but you don't punish the taxpayers who are donating because at that point, the organization needs to be convicted. You don't just label them for an audit based upon the name in their group.
Right.
That to me is wrong. So, but we do have Mike Elam coming up here.
Results of the poll?
Let's do
Results
it.
of the poll.
205 votes today for the YouTube live chat poll. Do any of Trump's picks give you pause? P-A-U-S-C, not P-A-W-S.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you clarified that.
69% say no. 31% say yes. That is today's YouTube live chat poll.
Cool.
Very good.
Thanks.
Hey, I love it when I get to hang out with the cool kids here, and we had the Manny Fry show today, so thanks for letting me hang out here on 97.1 FM Talk. We've got Mike Elam sitting in, I believe, next 3 hours for Mark Reardon, so you're going to want to stick around for that. And this, as you know, is the home of conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk. Talk to you soon.
Todd Sivia and the staff at Sivia Law online at civialaw.com, S-I-V-I-A law.com, want to help you muddle through that confusing process of creating a will, a trust, or a powers of attorney. Now, certainly not confusing to them. They are the experts. That's why I had Todd Sivia and his staff help me complete what I needed to get all of this stuff done with my husband, and I'm so grateful that I did. From the time you sit down with your first strategy session, which you can book right now by calling 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL. In 2 weeks, you can have completed documents and that's that burden lifted off of your shoulders. Reach out to them to talk to them today about how they can help you avoid probate, how they can help you save your time, your money, and your privacy that happens when you don't have your affairs in order. And also, veterans, if you've heard of an aid and attendance pension, but you are not collecting it, or if you're a spouse of a veteran, 833-995-WILL, 833-995